Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Gao Wu, Unlimited Avatars, Start to Kill S Alien Beasts. Chapter 1. Zhongcheng. The gate of the first mental hospital. I'm discharged from the hospital. Looking at the sunset, Qinzi felt more comfortable than ever. I'm discharged from the hospital. I'm free. Okay, we are all discharged from the hospital. I'm thirsty. Let's go get something to drink first. Fruit juice. I love drinking fruit juice. Quote. Dozens of voices exactly like his sounded in Qinzi's mind at the same time, as if all the aunts at the entrance of the village had got into his mind, making them very noisy. These are all his clones, currently overlapping on him. 2 months ago, Qinzi woke up and found that he had traveled to a parallel world where thousands of races were standing together and where martial arts was the most important thing. Not only that, but he also received a golden finger. Automatically splitting a clone every day is easier than a hen laying eggs. The attributes of the clone are only half of those when the original clone was produced, and there is no ability to continue the clone. There is no difference from the original body in other aspects. They have intelligence, flesh and blood, and souls. Qinzi and the clones share senses and memories, just like a multi-core processor. When he first gained this ability, Qinzi was very uncomfortable with it. In order to hide the clones, he could only have them overlap him. These idiots chatted all day long, causing Qinzi to feel a little schizophrenic. Ever since, the nagging Qinzi was sent to a mental hospital by his parents. This stay lasted 2 months. Where's the old lady? Didn't you agree to go out to a restaurant to meet me tonight? Qinzi stood alone and messy on the side of the road. The phone is also out of battery. The sun was about to set completely, and it would be dark if we didn't leave. Qinzi no longer waited, and walked home along the winding mountain road. The mental hospital is located on a hilltop in the suburbs. There were only a few people there, so the only ones we could encounter at this time were ghosts. At the foot of the mountain, Qinzi was waiting for a lucky car when he suddenly caught a glimpse of a girl in the distance squatting under a street lamp with her back to him. His shoulders were shrugged, as if he were crying. In the wilderness, it is getting late, there is a man and a woman alone, crows are squawking overhead. Qinzi turned around and left. But before I walked too far, I saw the girl again under the streetlight in front of me. Qinzi pretended not to see it and continued walking. Less than 100 meters away, the two met again under the streetlight. The girl cried louder than before. The sound was high-pitched, like a baby crying. Excuse me. Qinzi walked around the girl with a dark face. Swish. The girl appeared in an instant, turning her back to Qinzi and blocking his way. It's endless, right? The clay bodhisattva still has 3 points of fire, and Qinzi's patience is completely exhausted. Kakaka. The girl turned her head 180 degrees, opened her mouth to her ears, and showed Qinzi a charming smile. Then her body began to expand continuously, and hundreds of arms and legs protruded from her body, densely packed like a hedgehog. The faces kept changing between men, women, old and young, reminding Qinzi of the kaleidoscope he played with when he was a child. It's just that the kaleidoscope turned into colors, and the girl turned into a human face. Boom! The two-story girl stepped forward with her right foot, causing the ground to tremble slightly. Private Marseille. I admit that I spoke a little loudly just now. Qinzi retreated little by little. On the surface, he is as calm as an old dog, but on the inside he is panicking. How come there are strange beasts? Hey, although this is a suburb, it is still in the city. It's no use calling me away. So this is our first boss battle after leaving Novice Village. It's just a strange beast, let him see the power of the great devil Qinzi. It's just a strange beast, look at me as a sliding shovel. A clone left Qinzi and shoveled towards the alien beast. The alien beast's belly suddenly opened a bloody mouth more than 1 meter long, and the clone shoveled it inaccurately. Hi! The alien burped and tilted his head to look at Qinzi in confusion. This human is so weird. You've obviously eaten it, why are you still standing in front of it? Shoulder to shoulder together. Qinzi raised his arms and shouted, and a dozen clones rushed towards the alien beast. The strange beast Flax was stunned. Is this heaven? The outstretched arms of the strange beast grabbed a Qinzi with each hand, delivered them to their mouths one by one, and ate the buffet directly. It's now. Taking advantage of the alien beast's self-help distraction, Chinzi suddenly turned into a black lightning, so fast that he couldn't catch his afterimage. Dwang! Chinzi jumped up high and smashed his fist directly on the top of the beast's head. The strange beast was caught off guard, and its huge body crashed down. Chinzi's punch gathered all the strength of his body. This is what he researched in a mental hospital without incident. One thought can condense all the attributes of the whole body, and it lasts for 30 seconds. 30 seconds later, the waist and knees will become sore and weak, and the whole body will be weak. 20 seconds left. Chinzi rushed forward to make up the knife. The big mouth on the stomach of the strange beast opened, and an extremely terrifying suction came. The avatars leave the main body one by one. Step on the back of the person in front and push hard, one by one. After paying 10 clones, Chinzi finally broke free from that terrifying suction. As soon as he landed, his legs suddenly softened, and Chinzi lay on the ground like a toad. The moment of sage has arrived. The strange beast staggered up and patted its belly with satisfaction. It never thought that one day it would be able to eat just one human being. Escort. The rest of the clones all ran out. One held Chinzi on his body and ran away. The rest of the avatars are moths to the flame to delay time. The strange beast continued to bite Chinzi one by one. As full as it is, opportunities for such a buffet are few and far between. Disc action is required. Bululu. After eating a few more clones, there was a strange sound in the stomach of the strange beast. With a sound of, wow, he spat out a large pile of Chinzi's inhuman limbs and broken arms. Boom. After a few seconds, the huge body fell down and became unresponsive. The remaining 20 or so clones stared with big eyes and small eyes, not knowing why. Chinzi was carried back again. Could it be a fraudulent death? It's better if we fake our own death. Could it be that you ate too much and were exhausted? You deserve it, let it eat so much. We are so awesome, we can hold such a huge beast to death. Speaking of which, this doesn't seem to be something to be proud of, right? We relied on our ability to support him to death, why can't we be proud? Chinzi circled around the huge corpse of the alien beast. Open the body to see if there is any inner elixir. After all, that's how novels are written. Chinzi did not bring a knife. The clones sharpened the Chinzi bones spit out by the alien beast and used them as knives. Not long after, a black bead the size of a baby's fist was found. Sure enough, there is inner elixir. Chinzi weighed it with his hands, and it was ice cold. Get off and drive back to the palace. The clones carried Chinzi and stood in a line. While shouting 1, 2, 1, he disappeared into the vast night. 10 minutes later, a young man wearing a blue and white uniform appeared at the scene. After checking the corpse of the alien beast, the young man looked solemn. Law Enforcement Report Number 3. The seriously injured S-class beast that escaped died and the soul orb was lost. Cell tissue is collapsing, and the cause of death is suspected to be the role of the alpha agent. After a moment, a woman's voice came from the communicator. Find the soul pearl. Yes. The young man looked around and finally chased Chinzi in the direction he left. Who Hansen, are back. Chinzi, who was standing at the door, opened his arms. I thought I would welcome the welcome hug from my elder sister and the concern and greetings from my parents. But the reality is, no one was there. There was a layer of ash on the cabinet by the door. Chinzi walked into the bedroom with a grimace, and found out the charger to charge the phone. Turn on the phone and dial. Where are you, Chin Yu? You didn't wait for me at the hospital gate. Chinzi was helplessly furious. A pleasant female voice came from the other side of the phone. Chinzi, why don't you stay in the hospital and call me? Chinzi said with a dark face. I'm leaving the hospital today, what about the promise of cleaning up? Chin Yu was silent for 10 seconds. I misremembered the time, I thought it was next month. Chinzi lay down on the bed. Where did you go? Parents are not at home. I am bored. I want to eat a full banquet of Chinese people. Chinzi rolled around like a salted fish. Roll to the left for a while, then roll to the left again. Chinzi, I have a secret to tell you. Chin Yu's voice suddenly became serious. Have you found a boyfriend? The fire of gossip in Chinzi's heart was blazing. It turned out to be at the hotel. Congratulations on finally getting married. When will you leave the family? I'll see which blind pig can even beat a rotten cabbage like you. Chin Yu gritted his teeth. Gong your sister, that's not what I want to talk about. Chinzi rolled to the left. My sister is your sister, so our mother is pregnant again. Shut up, listen to me. Qin Yu interrupted his brother's divergent thinking. Actually, my parents and I are both powerful and mysterious warriors, and we are currently performing a secret mission. You can stay at home and prepare for the college entrance examination in a few months. After a while, we will go back after the task is completed. Chinzi sat up from the bed, frowning. The identities of the family members who traveled through this wave have also changed. So we will be the second generation in the future. Thinking of this, Chinzi Long Yan rejoiced. In the future, I will walk around the birds, enjoy the flowers, and flirt with pretty girls on the street. Do what the second generation should do. Really not bad. He began to like this world. At this time, Chinzi's thoughts were interrupted by his mother's voice on the phone. Girl, come and help me bargain. He wants 100 yuan for such a piece of rag, why not grab it? Chinzi, your uncle's Qin Yu. The secret mission of cooperating with you is to travel. Don't take me yet. The signal here is a bit bad. A foreign martial artist is calling, so I will hang up first. Bye. Beep beep. Chinzi is going crazy. Sure enough, even after time travel, the old lady is still unreliable as before. Having nothing to do, Chinzi took out the black beads to study again. In novels, this thing can generally be absorbed. After bumping and bumping, Chinzi found that this thing is very hard. You ate it. Chinzi called out a clone. The avatar Chinzi had a bitter expression on his face. It's so big, I can't eat it no matter how I think about it. Eat it as soon as I let you eat it, what's the point? Chinzi forcefully stuffed the beads into the mouth of the avatar, and felt the feeling of almost choking to death together. Is there any change? Chinzi asked. The face of the avatar became more and more red, and the voice trembled, it's coming. The big one is coming. Chinzi's eyes lit up. There is a show. Puff. The avatar let out a long fart and quickly ran into the toilet. Chinzi, it really is my avatar. Clatter. After a while, the toilet rang, and the avatar walked out easily. Shouldn't you pull it out? The clone shook his head. I have become stronger. How to say, I got the ability of the strange beast, devour. Please begin your performance. The clone scratched its head. We have to devour living things, it's just the two of us. Chinzi snapped his fingers. Arrangement. Another clone walked out. Come on, let me see how strong you are. Before the avatar that came out had finished speaking, it fell straight down and turned into a corpse. It's a bit tight. The devoured clone hiccuped. According to this digestion rate, it will take at least a week before it can be swallowed again. I got his blood, and now my cultivation has become a little stronger. Hearing this, Chinzi suddenly felt a fire burning in his lower abdomen. He called out a clone again, raised his hand and pressed it on top of its head. With a silent swallowing sound in his heart, the clone fell down, and a warm current poured into Chinzi's body. I see. The avatar's natural ability can be shared with me, and it's an enhanced version. Chinzi felt that he was not full yet, and devoured another clone. It was finally full and almost overflowing. At this moment, Chinzi felt that his whole body was full of strength. He wanted to yell, I'll hit 10. Chinzi found that his chi and blood had also increased a bit, and it was also shared by Brother Swallowing, about a third of which was shared with him. If you want to come to other avatars, you can also share them with yourself, but they are all whiteboards, sharing too little, Chinzi doesn't feel it at all. Oh, we lost 3 good brothers. Let us observe 3 seconds of silence. A bow. Chinzi is not a son of man. The air is shaking and cold, when will the avatar stand up? Ignoring the threats from the avatars, Chinzi rolled his eyes, dispose of all the corpses. Fortunately, there was no one at home. If my parents and elder sister saw this scene in the bedroom, they would be frightened to death. Several avatars scratched their ears and cheeks around the 3 Chinzi corpses. Throw the corpse directly. You are really not afraid of being discovered by the police station. Shenjiang, chop it up and feed it to the dog. Where do you find so many dogs? Let's chop it up and flush it down the drain. Good idea. +1. Just do it. The avatars moved the corpse into the bathroom, went to the kitchen to get 2 kitchen knives, and started chopping. Although Chinzi is not a first-rate warrior, He is still a warrior after all, with greater strength than ordinary people, and it is relatively easy to chop off clones who have inherited half the attributes of the main body. Coupled with the help of brother swallowing, the dismemberment process went very smoothly. Chinzi sat in the living room, drinking tea leisurely. Bang bang bang. Suddenly someone knocked on the door. The bathroom was immediately quiet. Aunt Wang, what's the matter at night? Chinzi pushed open the door, and it was Aunt Wang, the neighbor downstairs. Ace was discharged from the hospital. I thought your mother and the others were back. Yeah, I just got out of the hospital today. Making dumplings. That's right, there's a lot of meat, so I chop it up for a while. I haven't finished chopping for half an hour, do you want to pack a pig? Chinzi laughed. It will be fine soon, Aunt Wang, please bear with me. Don't make it all over the place, it's not easy to clean up. Aunt Wang reminded her again and again, then turned and left. Chinzi closed the door, flushed the bathroom and shouted, "Are you done?" The clone replied, hurry up, there is still half a fan left." GKD. Blood dripped from the crack under the bathroom door. A clone wearing a red apron immediately came out with a mop to clean. Looking at the bustling avatars, Chinzi nodded in satisfaction. If you had this ability before time travel, you could earn a lot of money by sending all your avatars to the electronics factory to make screws. Thump thump. There was another knock on the door. Aunt Wang, it will be fine if you just bear with it. I'll give you a taste when the dumplings are finished. The door opened, and a young man in a blue and white uniform stood outside the door. The broken corridor light flickered from time to time, illuminating half of the man's face flickering on and off. Seeing the big word, "Fa," on the young man's chest, Chinzi suddenly felt bad. Why did law enforcement come to our door? The law enforcement is similar to that of the Jin Yiwei of the Ming Dynasty, and is even more powerful than the Jin Yiwei. Supervise officials and people, interrogate major criminal cases, and even clean up strange animals. Every law enforcement officer is also a master, at least a second-grade warrior. Brother, is there something wrong? Chinzi estimated that the other party came because of the strange beast. But I can't admit it even to death. The clone is his life-saving trump card. And even if the beads are eaten, I can't pull them out and give them back to him. Chinzi, 18 years old, 2201, Building 2, Jingyuan Community, the owner of the family, is a student in Class 1, Grade 2, Grade 3, and will take the college entrance examination in 3 months. I was hospitalized in Zhongcheng No. 1 mental hospital for 2 months and was discharged this afternoon. Is this you? The law enforcement officer took out a Chinzi mugshot. No, Chinzi shook his head. Law enforcement. It's okay, I'll close the door and continue making dumplings. Chinzi was about to close the door when the law enforcement officer blocked him with his foot. You are, law enforcement said seriously. Chinzi, I know you still ask a question. The law enforcement officer said in a deep voice, there must be no lack of due procedures. Is this you? Chinzi, it's not me. Law enforcement. Chinzi chuckled. It's a bug. It seems that I can only take you back to the law enforcement department for questioning. The law enforcement officer put away the photo, and the momentum of the second-level warrior exploded. Okay, I am, Chinzi said from his heart. The law enforcement officer put away his coercion. Where were you from 6 to 6:15 this evening? Chinzi thought. On the way home. Walk back. Take a car. Where did the car come from in the wilderness? I was lucky enough to find a car that was destined for me. Anyway, there is no surveillance in the suburbs, so you can't check it. Number plate. How novel. Who would be a serious person who would take the trouble to remember the brand when riding in a car? Have you seen any suspicious persons near the foot of the mountain? No. The law enforcement officer took out a golden sign with the word, "Fa," written in large letters on it. The moment he saw the sign, an unparalleled surge of righteousness rushed into Chinzi's body. In the face of this righteousness, Chinzi cannot lie. He had the feeling that if he lied, he would surely die. Chinzi opened his mouth, ready to tell exactly what happened in the evening. At this moment, the awe-inspiring righteousness that descended on Chinzi suddenly spread to all the clones. There is very little righteousness left in Chinzi, and he is no longer invincible. He immediately shut his mouth and looked at the golden sign with feigned confusion. Did you lie? The law enforcement asked. No. Chinzi shook his head. If even one word of what I just said is false, my sister will never be able to get married in this life. The law enforcement officer looked at Chinzi for a moment and put away the gold medal. Haoran's righteousness disappeared instantly, and Chinzi felt a lot more relaxed. If you think of anything else, you can report it to the law enforcement department. Valuable leads can be generously rewarded. Chinzi pretended to be confused. So what happened? The law enforcement officer sneered. An S-class beast died at the foot of the mental hospital. You just left early, otherwise you would have become his meal now. Chinzi yelled. It's so scary. How can there be strange beasts in the city? The law enforcement officer snorted coldly and sniffed hard when he was about to leave. Why is there such a strong smell of blood? The law enforcement probe looked into the room. Chinzi stepped aside. I want to eat fish. You just killed a fish, want to try my craft? The law enforcement officer looked around the living room, closed the door and left. The second-level warriors are so strong, but the third-level warriors are not against the heavens. Chinzi patted his little heart. This was the first time he realized how terrifying the warriors in this world were. You have to practice hard. If you want to survive in troubled times, it is the last word to strengthen yourself. Pushing open the bathroom, the clones all collapsed on the ground, looking like they couldn't survive. That brand is too powerful. If this is a world of immortal cultivation, it must at least be a top-grade magic weapon. I felt like my heart was being read. I almost peed myself. You've peed. Chinzi clapped his hands. Hurry up and work. Fortunately, the law enforcement officer didn't come in to search the house, otherwise there would be no explanation for this house. The law enforcement officer who walked out of the community took out his communicator to contact his superiors. I have already checked out that mental illness and passed the magic card test. And a low-level warrior doesn't have the strength to kill an S-level beast. I will continue to follow up the investigation. Call ended. The law enforcement officer turned his head and glanced at Chinzi's window, which was still lit, and felt that there was something strange about this person. An indescribable feeling. After 3 hours of unremitting efforts by several Master Chin, the body was finally cleaned up, and all the blood sprayed in the toilet was cleaned up. Chinzi was summoned by a good friend and sat outside a food stall in advance to order something and wait for someone. Not long after, a fat man ran over panting. Brother Z. You are finally discharged from the hospital. The fat man's name is Lin Ziyuan, and they were in the same class from elementary school to high school. Brother Z, I'll treat you to this meal today to celebrate your discharge from the hospital. After eating a bunch of big wastes, Chinzi said seriously, Fat man, I have decided to practice hard from now on and take the martial arts exam. The fat man looked at Chinzi with an extremely unfamiliar look. Brother Z, how come you have so much before you even drink? Chinzi shook his head. I'm serious. In this world where martial arts is respected, warriors are the masters. The leaders of big groups and companies are all warriors, and ordinary people simply cannot hold on to such a large family business. If you want to stand out, becoming a warrior is a prerequisite. The fat man blinked and then laughed. Brother Z, you are teasing me again. Who in the whole school doesn't know that we are useless? If we can become warriors, sows can climb trees. After graduation, I will directly arrange for you to join my company. I will be the general manager and you will be the vice president. We two brothers will continue to live happily. The fat man's family has a huge industry, but Chinzi doesn't know what it is exactly. What level of warrior is your dad? Level 2. Chinzi said. Have you ever thought that in a few decades your father will be gone and you are not even a first-level warrior? How can you hold on to the company? The smile on the fat man's face gradually disappeared, and he could see that Chinzi was discussing this topic with him seriously. Well, let's talk about the future matters later. The fat man chose to continue showing off. Cultivation is impossible, it is waste after all. Are you willing to give up your family's wealth to others? Who said trash can't practice? In this martial arts test, I want to show everyone in the school that trash can also become a martial artist. The fat man was infected by Chinzi's impassioned remarks. Brother Z, you are right. Starting from tomorrow, we will practice hard and change our fate against the will of heaven. Chinzi nodded. This is my good brother, cheers. Just as the two were dreaming about their future, a girl's exclamation sounded from the next table. "Let me go." The girl who screamed was the waiter at the next table. She is in her early 20s and has good looks. Chinzi felt that she looked familiar, as if she had seen her somewhere. The girl was being pulled hard by the arm by the drunken man. Not bad, quite exciting. The drunk's eyes unscrupulously scanned the girl's key parts up and down. "Come here and let me talk." Pulling the girl into his arms one last time, the pig's face leaned closer. Snap. The girl panicked and slapped the drunk man, and ran away like a little rabbit. Boom. The table was smashed into pieces by the drunkard's palm. "It's a warrior." Chinzi felt the strong chi and blood fluctuations in the opponent's body. The fat man took a look and said, "I guess he just came down from the front line. He wouldn't know his last name after drinking some horse urine." The drunk man was furious. "Give it to the shameless stinky fool. You are lucky that I like you." The guests who were originally filled with indignation fell silent when they saw that the other party was a warrior. The girl panicked. His body was shaking constantly, and he was obviously at a loss. Clatter. The drunkard pushed everything on the next table to the floor. He lifted the girl by the back of her neck like a chicken and pushed her onto the table. The girl was trembling and crying helplessly. The drunkard's two companions were cheering and cheering. "Brother Guang is mighty. Hurry up and show this little fool your big baby." The drunk man whistled and was about to unbutton his belt when the food stall owner arrived late. "Wu, Master Wu, she is new here and is ignorant. Please bear with me. I'm treating you to this meal tonight as an apology." The 1.8-meter boss nodded and asked for help in front of the drunkard who was less than 1.7 meters tall, as humble as a primary school student. Snap. The drunk man slapped the boss in the face, and the boss flew more than 2 meters away, lying on the ground and passed out. Where did the fly come from? The drunk man looked around. "What, you are not convinced? I'm fighting on the front lines to kill alien beasts. Why? To protect the safety of you ants and trash like you. I narrowly escaped death, and my life on the front line was almost lost. What's wrong with my enjoyment now? This is what I deserve." The people around him lowered their heads, not even daring to take a breath. The law does not apply to warriors. As long as the warriors don't kill warriors, it doesn't matter even if they kill a few ordinary people. The surviving warriors all have military merits, which can be offset by military merits. No one dares touch the mold of a drunk. I was afraid that the other party would shoot me to death in a fit of anger. The drunkard was very satisfied when no one dared to stand up and resist him. "Get ready, your dad is here." The drunkard pressed the woman's head firmly on the table, and began to unbuckle his belt with his other hand. Chinzi felt a little tight in his chest. He's starting to hate the world a little bit. "Brother Z, don't be impulsive," the fat man warned in a low voice. The drunkard was already on top, and ordinary people would get it for free. Woo woo woo. A police station car stopped on the side of the road and 2 police officers got out. "Don't move. Report your name, warrior level, and sequence immediately." 2 police officers took out their pistols and pointed them at the drunk. The drunk ignores the officer and points to his forehead. "Come on, shoot me. I am a meritorious first-level warrior, come and beat me to death." The 2 commissioners were extremely nervous. The police department has no law enforcement power over warriors, and only the law enforcement department can manage warriors. The drunkard grinned. "If you don't dare to shoot, put down the fire stick and watch my performance. Maybe I'll be in a good mood later and let you be the protagonist." The 2 companions whistled. "Brother Guang, come on. Leave a mouthful for my brother later." The drunk man grinned, leaned over and whispered in the girl's ear, "Stinky idiot, this is the price you pay for toasting and refusing to eat fine wine." The girl cried with tears in her eyes, and couldn't help shaking her head. "No, do not want." The drunk man's eyes were scarlet, and his heart felt unprecedentedly happy, and the haze he had suffered on the battlefield before was swept away. Snap. Suddenly, a beer bottle flew onto the drunk man's head and exploded. Grass. Who is it? The drunk man had a piece of glass stuck in his scalp, and blood flowed all over his face. The diners kept their heads down. There was only a fat man whistling nonchalantly towards the opposite road. And a young man opposite the fat man was eating his kidneys calmly. Snap. As soon as the drunk man turned around, the beer bottle flew over again. I knew it was you. The drunk rushed forward to Chin-zi. The fat man sighed. Brother Z, why can't you hold your breath? Brother, my dad is Lin Gang from the Lin Group, give me face, this matter is over today. The drunk man straightened his clothes. Open your dog eyes to see clearly, I am He Guang, the second son of the He family. The fat man felt a thump in his heart. Encountered iron plate. The He family is one of the top martial arts families in Zhongcheng. Fatty's family background is really not enough in front of a drunk. So it's Brother Guang, I said he looks familiar. We and He Bai are both classmates, this is not a big flood to wash away the Dragon King Temple. The fat man started laughing and laughing. He Guang looked at Chin-zi with a smile. Little brat, don't you want to be a hero? Today I give you this chance. Go through here, 3 times the dog barks, I will let that idiot go. He Guang's legs parted, awesome. Chin-zi ate the last bite of the kidney and put down the iron skewer. He took out a napkin and wiped his mouth gracefully. He Guang rolled up his sleeves, it's endless. Boom, Chin-zi punched He Guang firmly in the stomach. He Guang's body bent into a prawn and flew several meters away. Oh shit, He Guang kept breathing. Due to the effect of alcohol and Chin-zi's excessive force, He Guang struggled several times but couldn't stand up. 25. Chin-zi turned into a black lightning bolt and rushed towards He Guang's 2 companions. The 2 fools were still staring at He Guang in a daze, not wanting to understand how he fell down. When he came back to his senses, Chin-zi had already killed him. A right whip kick, a left forward kick. The 2 idiots were kicked by Chin-zi onto He Guang, who was about to get up, and they made a sandwich. 15. Chin-zi quickly picked up 3 wine bottles, 1 for each person. There were 3 consecutive bangs, and the 3 of them stared at each other. 3, 2, 1. As the countdown ended, Chin-zi pulled the chair beside him, turned around and sat down gracefully, crossing his legs. It's time for the sages. The whole process is smooth, and it is very ornamental. Everyone in the audience was dumbfounded. They didn't expect to fight so gracefully. Is that really my brother? The fat man swallowed, in disbelief. We agreed to be trashed together, why did you suddenly change your fate against the sky? Looking at Chin-zi, who looked like a big star standing under the spotlight, the fat man clenched his fists. Brother Z, I will definitely catch up with you. He Guang, who was pressed at the bottom, kept beating the ground. Get up for me. The 2 idiots on his body are tightly pressed, like a chrysalis, like a salted fish, but he just can't get up. Chin-zi leaned back and tried his best to keep his legs from trembling. Steam, don't you hold your weapon. Little fool, I'm a mud horse. I'm a warrior who has been to the front line and made great achievements. He Guang was still spraying feces with his mouth full, and his eyes were about to burst into flames. Snap, Chin-zi took a beer bottle and threw it on his head. Swear again, I'm a mud horse. Snap, swear again. I'm so stupid. Snap, snap, quote. Chin-zi emptied it with his hand back, and there was no bottle left on the table. People around looked at Chin-zi with astonishment in their eyes. This is whose ministry will be so fierce. That's a warrior. Smash gophers are not so smashing. Brother Z, the wine is here. The fat man moved a case of beer to Chin-zi's feet. Chin-zi picked up the beer bottle and weighed it. Wait, I won't scold you anymore. He Guang, whose head was covered in blood, finally gave in. However, snap, if you don't scold, you will get beaten. Chin-zi clapped his hands. You are too deceitful. He Guang was about to die of anger. I think it's okay, Chin-zi said lightly. Bang bang. After smashing half a box of bottles again, Chin-zi was a little tired and was ready to call the fat man home. As expected of a warrior, his head is hard enough. After dozens of blows to the head, he still remained awake. I don't know, He Guang has been dizzy for a long time, his eyes are full of little stars. Law enforcement is here, the crowd exclaimed. Chin-zi raised his head and saw a man in a blue and white uniform. It's you again. The law enforcement frowned slightly. Law enforcers, let me decide. He Guang seemed to see a savior, and began to complain about Chin-zi's asshole behavior. He dared to take action against a warrior of the official sequence. I suspect that he is a foreign spy. Hurry up and arrest him for interrogation. Shut up, I haven't asked you yet. Law enforcement was annoyed that someone interrupted his process. He Guang didn't see the impatience of the law enforcement, and continued to shout, I am the second son of the He family. If you don't hurry to arrest this kid, believe it or not, I will go to the law enforcement department to complain to you tomorrow. The law enforcement snorted coldly and took out the golden spell card. In an instant, a powerful aura of righteousness descended and enveloped everyone. Everyone was in awe, feeling that their hearts had been purified and sublimated. He even started to burst into tears, constantly repenting for the wrong things he did before, and telling the secrets buried deep in his heart. Husband, I'm sorry for you, our child's surname is actually Wang. All eyes are on me, let me announce something, I am a male bronze. Just now I secretly pissed on your glass of beer. Brother, I like sister-in-law, can you divorce sister-in-law? Quote. For a time, the entire food stall can be called a large-scale social death scene. All the words in my heart that I didn't know how long had been buried came out. Qinzi was dumbfounded. He also had the urge to speak his mind for a moment, but the power of the gold medal was quickly dispersed by the avatar. Qinzi looked enviously at the gold medal in law enforcement's hands. Both AoE and single attack. I really want to have it. Brother Z, I also have something to tell you. The fat man held onto Qinzi's hand tightly, tears streaming down his face. Qinzi was startled, and quickly pulled his hand back. Don't say you like me. The fat man shook his head. I want to be your brother-in-law. I will be with your sister from now on, we can talk about our own business, I will still call you Brother Z, and you call me brother-in-law. Qinzi was taken aback. Well, you fat man with thick eyebrows and big eyes, you actually want to push my cabbage. Seeing Qinzi looking left and right looking for something, the fat man kindly asked, Brother, what are you looking for? Brother-in-law will help you find it. Qinzi, where is my knife? He Guang, who was at the bottom of the sandwich, finally stood up. The guy threw himself in front of the girl, hugged her leg and began to cry. I'm sorry, I'm not a human being, I'm really not a human being. While talking, He Guang slapped himself across the face. In fact, I have no military merit at all. I was pretending to be someone else. I didn't kill any strange beasts on the front line. I didn't dare. I was so scared that I peed. The alien beast is so big, so big. I'm so scared, really scared. I don't want to die woo woo woo. What He Guang cried was called hurting someone. Those who hear it are sad, and those who hear it cry. The girl hesitated, at a loss. I forgive you, you should get up first. After getting the answer he wanted, the law enforcement officer put away his magic cards, and the whole place fell silent for an instant. As Haoran's righteousness disappeared, everyone recalled what he had just said. I want to die. There is nothing left worth loving in this world. Brother Z, you, my sister. Roll. Okay. The fat man ran to pay the bill. He Guang, who had come to his senses on the other side, let go of the girl's thigh and backed away in horror. Grass. What the hell did you do? He Guang wished he could blow up the law enforcement with one punch. Danger, danger, danger. He actually told the truth about pretending to be a military leader, which was a capital crime. He's quite courageous. The corner of law enforcement's mouth raised slightly. Although I lost an S-level beast, my KPI for this month is finally up to standard. Misunderstanding. He Guang still wanted to defend himself. Enforcement throws a ring. The ring enlarged in the air and wrapped around He Guang's body, and then shrank instantly, making the hoop tight. Send him and his two companions to law enforcement. The law enforcement officer said to the commissioner on the side. Yes. The clerk immediately picked up the three of them and took them into the car. He Guang was still complaining. You can't do this to me. I have shed blood for the country, and I have fought for the country. All three were taken away. The guests are too embarrassed to stay here any longer. After paying the bill, he left in despair. It is very rare for people to be able to keep their emotions from breaking down in front of magic cards. The law enforcement officer came to Qinzi and looked at him with interest. Qinzi secretly yelled, "Oh no, I forgot to act just now." Among the dozens of people present, only 2 died. Qinzi and that girl. The law enforcement officer held up 2 fingers. There are only two possibilities that can resist the power of magic cards. Either the heart is pure enough and has never done anything that violates the law or morality. Either, he has a more powerful power that can resist magic cards. Qinzi was extremely firm. Yes, I am the former. I have been kind-hearted since I was a child. I would always lend a hand to the old lady when she fell. The law enforcement officer raised his eyebrows. The family situation is good. Qinzi, just the ordinary working class. The law enforcement officer said. Then you dare to help me? Qinzi, if we weren't kind, it would be normal for the magic cards to be ineffective against me. Law enforcement has a taste for fun. If you talk so secretly, there is no fuel-efficient lamp. Qinzi chose to shut up. I will continue to keep an eye on you. The law enforcement officer turned and left. Qinzi knew that he had been listed as a key suspect. By the way, since you are a student and don't know much, let me give you a heads up. The law enforcement officer suddenly stopped and looked into Qinzi's eyes. If soul beads are directly absorbed without purification, the brain will be damaged if the mental power cannot withstand it. The body will also transform into a beast. Qinzi asked with a black face, "What are soul beads?" The law enforcement officer stared at his face for a while and said, "Go to school tomorrow and ask your teacher." After the law enforcement left completely, Qinzi finally breathed a sigh of relief. So difficult. Brother Z's brain can withstand various information and senses from dozens of clones at the same time. You ask me, can my mental strength withstand it? Besides, mutation is mutation. What the clone ate was not what I ate. Thank you, Qinzi. The girl came over. Qinzi, do you know me? Qin Yu and I are college classmates. I went to your house during the summer vacation. The girl said. Qinzi remembered. No wonder he thought the girl looked familiar before, he had actually seen her before. It turns out to be Sister Ma Yan, long time no see. Girl, my name is Ma Yan. Sister Ma Yan, what do you do? Working as a waiter at a food stall. There seemed to be a crow flying across the sky. Ma Yan, please go home and rest for 2 days. The boss woke up, half of his face was swollen like a pig's head. Got it, boss. Ma Yan was very disappointed, she knew she was fired. After sniffing, Ma Yan smiled again. Qinzi, if you have time in the next 2 days, please come to our house for dinner. Call Xiao Yu. My sister went on a trip and I don't know when she will be back. Then do it yourself. Okay. The two exchanged contact information. Goodbye. Ma Yan rode a bicycle that rang except for the bell and disappeared into the night. Brother Z, the bill is settled. The fat man ran over. The two of them walked home on their legs. He Guang will probably come out in a few days. Brother Z, be careful of his revenge. Fatty reminded. Fake military merit is a capital crime. Qinzi didn't understand. It is a capital crime for ordinary warriors. He Guang is not an ordinary warrior. The fat man shook his head. His elder brother He Fei is an official warrior in Zhongcheng and A Major. What is the sequence? Qinzi asked. He Guang and the department staff had mentioned it before, but this was the first time Qinzi had heard of it. You don't know the sequence. Fatty looked at Qinzi as if he were an alien. Qinzi, hurry up. Fatty explained. After becoming a warrior, you must be assigned to a sequence. One is the formal sequence, and the other is the informal sequence. The formal sequence includes students from martial arts schools, official civil servants, and military warriors. Most of the informal orders are civilian warriors who are not good at fighting, or have weak force values, as well as warriors who were seriously injured on the front line and unable to continue fighting. Official warriors fight on the front line all year round and occasionally have holidays. Unofficial warriors will only be recruited in emergencies. The fat man said worriedly, Brother Z, how about you stay at my house for a few days? After all, Fat Dad is also a warrior. He Guang was not brave enough to kill Qinzi at Fatty's house for revenge. Qinzi shook his head. Registration for the martial arts exam will be in 2 days. After registering and becoming a candidate, he didn't dare to mess around. Martial arts candidates are protected before the martial arts exam. If anyone dares to attack martial arts candidates, law enforcement will not tolerate it. After taking the martial arts exam, Qinzi became a student of the martial arts school. He Guang didn't dare to mess around anymore. The fat man thought for a moment. I will sign up with you then. Qinzi patted him on the shoulder. Good brother. After returning home, Qinzi thought of law enforcement and called Brother Swallowing out. Has your body mutated, Brother Devour? How could it be? I'm not good at this. After saying this, Brother Devour stretched out 2 arms from his back. Qinzi, it's the same direction as that alien beast's alienation. After observing carefully for a while, Qinzi couldn't help but shuddered thinking of the strange beast covered in arms and legs. The soul bead itself cannot be swallowed. I discovered that although I am strong, I can actually devour creatures with energy and blood infinitely and transform them into cultivation. People are the best. The price is to speed up the mutation. Brother Swallow said. Qinzi said earnestly. You are already a mature individual, it's time to go out and fight on your own. So what if you turn into a strange beast in the end? You are still our good brother. The other clones spoke one after another. Brother Swallow, be careful, Qinzi is peeing at you. Isn't it KFC? You are all wrong, it's the Darwin effect. Qinzi has very strong mental power. Even if Brother Devouring completely transforms into a beast, it will only change his appearance. Ignoring the other clones, Brother Swallow nodded. Then I will go out to play in the wild. To be on the safe side, Qinzi arranged 5 more clones for Brother Devour to act together. After sending Brother Devouring away, Qinzi said to the clones, Look at Brother Devouring, you all should learn from me and practice hard for me. Don't rush me, I'm going to practice. A piece of knowledge that is neither hot nor cold. Because you are a waste in your own body, we who have inherited half of your attributes are even more useless. It hurts my heart. My family members, who knows? The waste is destroying the practice while urging it to be destroyed. Qinzi lay down on the bed and immediately turned on the smashing mode. I was about to look at Miss Sister on my phone when a news message suddenly popped up. An alien environment appears 1 kilometer southeast of Zhongcheng. The Defense Department and the martial arts families in the city are cleaning up the danger inside. After the danger is eliminated, it will be open to warriors. Qinzi also learned more or less about Alien from the internet. Inside is a small independent world, full of dangers, but also full of great opportunities. There is one near every large city, but this is the first time it has appeared in Zhongcheng. According to past practice, when a foreign land appears, the officials and martial arts families first enter it to explore. The euphemistic name is cleaning up the danger, everyone understands it. Qinzi checked Miss Sister for a while, put down his phone and went to sleep. Nothing to do overnight. Early the next morning, Qinzi woke up in a daze. The clone waiting by the bed immediately started to help her get dressed. The toothpaste in the bathroom has already been squeezed out, Qinzi just needs to go to that station and open his mouth. Sitting down at the dining table, the steaming breakfast was served immediately. After only 1 bite, Qinzi was satisfied. Kill the salt cellar. The clone wearing an apron said helplessly. After all, our cooking skills are the same. Qinzi bought 2 steamed buns at the breakfast shop downstairs and walked to school while eating. At the intersection not far from the school, Qinzi met a fat man with a sad face. What's on your mind? The fat man sighed. Brother Z, my ex-girlfriend got back together with me. Qinzi, this is a good thing. The fat man was helpless. But my current girlfriend hasn't broken up with me yet, and the palms and backs of her hands are full of flesh. Qinzi said calmly. It's easy to solve, divide it into 1. The fat man was silent for a moment. Which one do you want? Qinzi, I specifically told you to break up with one of them, not with me. A stretched Lincoln stopped at the school gate. The car door opened and a Xiaobao came out. Why bother? Brother Z, please go around him. The fat man whispered. He noticed Qinzi as soon as he got out of the car and cast an unkind look at him. Qinzi raised his middle finger. Why bother snorted, turned around and walked into the school. The fat man sighed softly. You tricked his second brother, this old boy will definitely not let you go. Qinzi doesn't care. He even dared to beat up He Guang, why would he be afraid of one? The classroom was noisy and quiet when Qinzi came in. All eyes were on him. I heard that Qinzi stayed in a mental hospital for 2 months. I don't know if he is getting better or not. It's not that easy to get better from mental illness. Stay away from him from now on. Killing someone with a mental illness is not illegal. The classmates all took the initiative to avoid him, and Chinzi was very happy to relax. Just like before the time travel, Chinzi's seat was in the last row, next to the trash can, and his seatmate was a fat man. On the left side of the blackboard is today's class schedule, and on the right side is 110 days left before the college entrance examination. The fat man took out his cell phone and typed, wondering whether he was breaking up with his current girlfriend or his ex-girlfriend. Jingle bell bell. The school bell rang, and a senior classmate in his 30s, wearing black-rimmed glasses and slightly balding, walked into the classroom. Laoban saw Chinzi next to the trash can at a glance. Chinzi is discharged from the hospital. There are only about 100 days left before the college entrance examination. You must hurry up and make up for the progress delayed by hospitalization. Laoban is still the same character who worried about his students as in his previous life. Chinzi nodded. Laoban put down his book and said, "Today's first class is breathing meditation. Chinzi, come up, I will guide you personally, let me see how far you have fallen." Everyone gloated at Chinzi, waiting for him to make a fool of himself. Who is Brother Z? His skin is thicker than a city wall. He got up without changing his expression, walked to the vacant seat on the edge of the podium and sat down. "Start gathering chi," Laoban said in a deep voice. Chinzi blinked. Gather chi. How to get together. Speaking of the radish stuffed buns I ate in the morning, I did feel gassy in my stomach. Chinzi and Laoban stared wide-eyed. Old Ban frowned. What are you looking at me for? Close your eyes and meditate to gather chi. Chinzi closed his eyes obediently. Then, puff, a smell of radish permeated the air. Ha 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 ha. The students burst into laughter. Why bother to cut it contemptuously? He couldn't believe that Chinzi beat up his second brother last night. It must have been some kind of indiscriminate means. The old class had a black line on his face. Chinzi, the college entrance examination is 3 months away, and you still can't meditate by yourself. Chinzi was speechless. Light gathers chi, but you said how to gather it. Clatter. Laoban opened the blackboard to the 2 sides, and a stone-carved lotus flower appeared in the middle. There are a total of 10 petals in the lotus, which are in bud. Look at the lotus platform, concentrate, breathe slowly, and have a rhythm between each exhalation and inhalation. When you have spiritual communication with the lotus platform, immediately close your eyes and use your mental power to draw a lotus flower in your mind. At this time, Lian Zhang's breathing method will work successfully. Chinzi, who had just stretched out, almost leaked air. Lenovo. Whoever named it so casually. According to Laoban's request, Chinzi fixed his eyes on the lotus platform on the blackboard. Suddenly, the lotus continuously rotated and magnified in Chinzi's field of vision. At this moment, Chinzi felt a subtle connection with Liantai. For ordinary people, spiritual power cannot be perceived or touched. It is very different for warriors. Chinzi closed his eyes subconsciously. It was the first time he felt the existence of spiritual power so clearly. He began to meditate on the shape of the lotus, and the first petal was quickly outlined. The old class on the side was very surprised. Chinzi fell into meditation so quickly. Even with the help of Liantai, this speed can beat 90% of the people in the class. Could it be that Chinzi is really a genius whom he has neglected? Chinzi's breathing gradually slowed down. Breathing automatically becomes very rhythmic after entering meditation. At the same time, the petals are quickly outlined. When the 8th petal was drawn in his mind, Chinzi's brain felt tired. This is a sign of mental strength reaching its limit. Is it okay, little dog? Wilted and wilted. Reopen. I tried it, and the maximum is 3 petals. Precious things, look at mine. Everyone's whiteboard must have 3 petals. The clones chattered, and the 9th petal was outlined, followed by the 10th. When all 10 petals are drawn, the lotus blooms instantly, and Chinzi is like a spring breeze. Chinzi called him a good guy. It turns out that the chattering avatar is the best exercise for one's mental strength. After an unknown amount of time, Chinzi opened his eyes and let out a breath of foul air slowly. The entire class was silent, and the students looked at Chinzi as if they were monsters. What happened to your kidney? Chinzi was a little confused. The old class said seriously, now it's the second class. Chinzi was surprised. I didn't feel it at all. For those who are in meditation, time passes quickly. Generally, after the mental power is exhausted, the meditation will end on its own. So the old class didn't bother. I thought Chinzi was a fast guy, and it would be over in a while. Unexpectedly, this meditation took nearly an hour. How many petals did you draw? Old Ben asked. 10 slices. Old Ben sighed. I think too much, but Chinzi still loves to talk big like before. Maybe he ended his meditation a long time ago and has been acting. I can really blow. Why is the strongest in our class only 4 pieces? Laughing to death, waste is waste, I really think of myself as a genius. It's okay to deceive the brothers, but don't deceive yourself. No one believed that Chinzi could draw 10 complete petals. If you can really draw it, your mental strength is comparable to that of a first-level warrior. Okay, I'll actually draw one. Chinzi said. The students looked exactly as I expected. Chinzi was helpless. Why no one believes the truth? Chinzi was about to return to his seat when Lao Ban suddenly put his hand on his lower abdomen. Don't move, let me touch it. Lao Ban's eyes lit up. It's so big. Chinzi had black lines on his face. Where are you touching? Lao Ban, I mean you are very angry. Lian Xiong breathing method is to gather qi by consuming mental energy. Qi Jin is all gathered in the sea of qi, and then slowly transformed into qi and blood. And every time Lian thought about it, she would hone her mental strength a little bit. Although the exercises are very common, they are the most critical and important entry-level exercises. Being able to cultivate both mental strength and qi and blood, every high school learns. Chinzi condensed such a large sea of energy, one can imagine his mental strength. Is he really a genius? Not bad. Hurry up and practice in these 3 months. There is still a chance to pass the martial arts exam in the college entrance examination. Lao Ban was very surprised. Chinzi may really be a genius who has been overlooked by himself. Then there are 2 cultural classes, and the whole morning class is over. After the lunch break, the fat man poked Chinzi mysteriously. Brother Z, let me show you something good. The fat man handed over a small square box. After opening it, there were 2 black pills inside. Qi gathering pill, I asked my dad to buy it. One of us. 2 days later, the qi and blood test. If the qi and blood value is less than 100, you will not be allowed to register for the martial arts exam. Eating a qi gathering pill is enough to meet the standard. Gathering qi dan is expensive, and there is no market for it. This kind of elixir is controlled by the government, and ordinary people can only go to the black market if they want to buy it, and the premium is extremely high. Chinzi shook his head. You eat it all. The fat man was taken aback. You don't want to sign up. I don't need to take qi gathering pills, and my qi and blood can still reach the standard. Chinzi explained. You eat all of these too, take advantage of this time to practice hard, don't waste it. Although he didn't know the exact value of his qi and blood, but he could think about it for an hour just by meditating, and Chinzi estimated that he would not be too low. After school in the evening, Chinzi plans to go to a martial arts gym to test it out. Brother Z, don't you really meditate on 10 petals? The fat man thought of something. Basic exercises, don't be 6. Chinzi said flatly. If it wasn't for the fact that his personality and lifestyle were still the same as before, the fat man would have wondered if his good brother had been taken away. I'll keep this qi gathering pill for you first, come and get it when you need it. The fat man put away the small black box. In the afternoon, it is body casting class, and the whole class must gather at the martial arts field. At the high school level, the school only teaches 2 exercises. One is Lian Xiong breathing method. The other is the life-defying technique that tempers the body and is used in actual combat. The life-defying technique is very simple to say, it is to flush the acupoints with qi and blood. There are a total of 720 acupuncture points in a human being, and each level of practice of the reversing fate technique can open up 80 acupuncture points. The higher the qi and blood, the more acupuncture points will be opened, the harder the body will be, and the stronger the combat power will be. The body casting class is the practical operation of the life-defying technique. Ms. Wang is sick, and I will be in charge of the body casting class in the future. The class bell rang, and a tall female teacher in a white martial arts uniform walked into the martial arts arena. Boys and girls aged 17 or 18 are at an age full of fantasies about beautiful things. The female teacher is tall, with three-dimensional and exquisite facial features. Her black and smooth hair is tied into a high ponytail, and she has a heroic appearance. The boys were excited and the girls were envious. Chinzi couldn't help but take a second look. It's really pretty. I am the new teacher Yao. I hope we can get along happily in the future. Teacher Yao introduced himself. Show them from the beginning of the row to the end of the row. Let me see how far you have practiced the fate-defying technique. The first one is why bother. He closed his eyes and began to gather energy and blood. After a moment, there was a slight muffled sound in the body. A small shock wave can be seen spreading out half a meter in all directions. Wow, the students all exclaimed in surprise. As expected of the genius of our class. Why can you already open more than 30 acupuncture points? I guess this year's top scorer in the martial arts exam is why there is no need. Teacher Yao also nodded with satisfaction. Not bad. Why raise the corners of your mouth to calm down the qi and blood? He has been able to open 35 acupuncture points, and it is estimated that by the day of the martial arts test, 80 acupuncture points will be easily opened. Even if you can't get the top pick, it's easy to get to the top. He originally thought that the beautiful teacher would look at him a few more times, but unexpectedly, Teacher Yao quickly looked at the next one, feeling slightly disappointed. Passing by Chinzi, why slow down? Get ready, I'll come find you later during training. The fat man was delighted. I wonder who gave you the courage to spar with Brother Z. Chinzi's silky little combo last night stunned the fat man. Don't say why one is necessary, even 10 are not enough for Chinzi to fight alone. Chinzi directly ignored Why by, reviewing the fate-defying formula in his mind. Why see Chinzi's attitude, and vowed to let him lie in bed for several months. Then the students began to show one by one, and the acupuncture points opened were between 20 and 25. Finally, it was the turn of the waist duo guarding the trash can. Fatty showed off first. Ah, I saw, the fat man shouted. Then, there is no more. Teacher Yao frowned. Not even 10. What have you been doing for the past 3 years? The fat man scratched his head in embarrassment. Mr. Yao, it's not that I don't work hard. I can't gather my energy. No matter how hard I try, it's useless. Hold out your hand. Teacher Yao stepped forward. The fat man held out his right hand weakly. Teacher Yao held his wrist with doubts on his face. Strangeness. She had never seen such a strange sea of air. The speed of absorbing qi is extremely fast, but the leakage is also fast, and the efficiency of transforming qi and blood is appallingly low. Teacher Yao, is there any solution? Fatty's eyes glowed with hope again. Sorry, I'm not an expert in this field, and I can't do anything. Teacher Yao sighed. The fat man's eyes dimmed. He's gotten used to it over the years. Next is Chinzi's turn. The classmates looked at him with great interest. A guy who needs the help of external objects even for meditation, probably has fewer acupuncture points than the fat man. In the morning, Chinzi had already torn through the book on the art of defying fate. The formulas are memorized fluently, but this is the first time to practice them. The first step is to gather the spirit. The second step is to condense the qi and blood to travel the tendons. Chinzi recited the formula in a low voice while operating carefully, and the students leaned forward and back together happily. Why is there even more contempt on his face? The second elder brother actually fell into the hands of this kind of guy. I really feel sorry for him. The third step, after walking for a week, go all out to punch the acupoint. Chinzi suddenly opened his eyes. At this moment, he felt that the blood in his body was boiling like a pot of boiling water. Bang bang bang. Qi and blood quickly rushed to the acupuncture points one after another, making a series of explosions like popping beans. Boom. When the 80th acupuncture point was finally opened, a layer of air waves swept several meters around. The fat man closest to Chinzi was turned over and sat down on the ground. The other students were also turned on their backs, disheartened. Only Teacher Yao stood still, and the cyclone just blew her ponytail. See Gui. This is really Chinzi. Should we open 40 or 50 acupoints? Fart, you have to have 60 or 70. The students got up in embarrassment, their eyes full of astonishment. Why do you have to look gloomy after eating a dog gnawing mud? He couldn't figure it out. A mere trash, how could he have more punches than him? I have cultivated fate-defying technique to the first level, which is very good. The surprise in Teacher Yao's beautiful eyes flashed away. She didn't expect that such a remote place as Zhongcheng could produce a young genius. Hearing that Teacher Yao said that Qinzi already had a first-layer anti-fate technique, the students almost dropped their jaws in shock. Even if you look at the whole school, you haven't heard of anyone who has practiced fate-defying art to a level of perfection. Next, choose your own opponents, and practice in pairs. Teacher Yao said. Why bother to find that Qinzi looked at him with a smile, and felt bad. I choose him. Qinzi raised his finger over. Why bother to grit your teeth and secretly scold Qinzi for not talking about martial ethics? You are a martial artist with a first-level life-defying technique, and you hit me with a baby who only hits 35 acupuncture points. Why bother? Qinzi, I advise you to use mouse tail juice. Students, let's go to the end. Teacher Yao said, why is it the fastest in the class except Qinzi? You two are also suitable opponents. Why do you know you can't escape? Okay, let's finish it, and I don't want to hurt you. Why bother to open all 35 acupuncture points, and punch Qinzi's face with a left jab? Qinzi tilted his head to avoid it, and hit He Bai's head with a duang sound with his right hand. Why bother to feel like I was swung by an 80 hammer, with stars in my eyes, and I fell straight to the ground. The sound is quite loud. It's a good start. Qinzi withdrew his hand. But your head is not as hard as your second brother, it's far behind. Shrimp and pig heart. Why bother to black out and faint? Teacher Yao calmly said, come and take him to the infirmary. The two classmates next to him raised He Bai and hurried to the infirmary. The students couldn't help but take 2 steps back, feeling a little scared in their hearts. The martial arts exam will take another 3 months. Don't relax during this time. You have a chance to get into a good university. Teacher Yao said to Qinzi. Understood, thank you, Teacher Yao. Qinzi nodded. For most of the next half of the body casting class, no one came to Qinzi for sparring. Qinzi found an unoccupied corner to meditate by himself. The school bell rings. Qinzi opened his eyes and sighed faintly. The improvement of qi and blood in meditation is too slow. Qinzi didn't go home immediately after school, but planned to find a martial arts gym to test his blood value. In this world where martial arts prevail, the density of martial arts halls is similar to that of pharmacies in previous lives. As long as you are a first-level martial artist, you are qualified to open a martial arts gym, so the quality of martial arts gyms varies. Only a small group of top martial arts gyms will have special skills to teach students. Most of the rest of the martial arts clubs are just helping ordinary people keep fit, or providing extracurricular martial arts tutoring for school students. 4C's martial arts, it's up to you. Qinzi said 4 times, he definitely didn't choose this place because of the long-legged young lady at the door. Welcome to Sihai Martial Arts School. Enroll now and become a student, and you'll get a 30% discount. When the welcoming lady saw the guests, she immediately greeted them with a smile. I want to rent a training room. Qinzi said. The training room of the martial arts gym is fully equipped. There are not only arenas, various weapons and protective equipment, but also qi and blood testers. The receptionist girl's eyebrows were curved. The training room costs 500 an hour, how long do you need? Qinzi felt a little pain. After being released from the mental hospital, his total net worth was less than 1,000 oceans. When my family goes on a trip, they don't know that they will come back in the year of the monkey. I have to ask my sister for support, or I will starve to death within 2 weeks. An hour is enough. PLZ, follow me. The young lady took Qinzi to the front desk to pay, and then gave him a black room card. Turn left on the first floor and take the second room. Thank you. Qinzi took the room card. The young lady suddenly came over and exhaled like a blue breath. Does your classmate need a tutor? Our female teachers are all recent graduates of Martial Arts University. Here are photos to choose from. The young lady wore a cheongsam with high slits, and she deliberately lifted her legs so that the slits almost reached her armpits. Are you a serious tutor? Qinzi asked. The young lady giggled. This is a serious martial arts school. But if your classmates need it, you have to pay more. In the past, the place with the highest density of teachers was not schools, but barbershops. But in this world, Chinzi feels that the density of martial arts teachers is higher than that of barber shops. No, I'll just practice whatever I want. You can also try it out for free. Toll, forget it. The young lady immediately lost interest, twisted her waist and returned to the door to continue soliciting customers. Chinzi secretly said that people's hearts are not as good as before, so he should seize the time to go to the training room. From the moment you get your room card, the countdown begins. Beep. Opening the door, Chinzi found the gas and blood tester placed in the center of the room. To put it simply, a gas and blood tester is a wooden stake with an electronic display. Attack the wooden stake with all your strength, and the energy and blood of this attack will be displayed on the electronic screen. Chinzi took a deep breath and hit the wooden stake with a heavy punch. After the electronic screen flashes a few times, it immediately displays the blood value. 513. 100 is the dividing line between warriors and ordinary people. With a vitality value of over 100, he is what everyone often calls a low-level warrior. Only after breaking through 1000 will you become an official first-level warrior. In terms of warrior level, the current Chinzi is equivalent to a level 0.5 warrior. Although not strong, at least he passed the threshold to register for the martial arts exam. Bang bang bang. Chinzi moved his arms, and 80 acupuncture points were opened one after another. After running the counterfeit operation at full power, he punched the wooden stake again. 801. It's not over yet. Chinzi gathered all his attributes and tested another punch. The blood value on the display screen was rising like a heifer riding a rocket. Finally it stabilized at 1269. In a moment, the sage's time has come. Chinzi Shanyu lay on the ground. That is to say, now that my buffs are fully activated, I can fight back and forth with first-level warriors. Although it's only half a minute. The cooldown of the skill of condensing the attributes of all clones is about 1 hour. It can be used more than 20 times a day. Chinzi suddenly became excited. A burst of pleasure instantly flowed from the soles of the feet throughout the body, straight to the Tianling cap. The negative status of sage time disappears instantly. Brother Swallow has broken through. Chinzi got the blood feedback from Brother Swallow who was playing in the wild. Boom. Chinzi carp straightened up, got up and punched the stake. 835. Hold the grass and devour the big brother's batch. Brother Swallow's feedback of chi and blood is worth Chinzi's 2 months of meditation. Say thank you Brother Swallow. Brother Swallowing is suffering, I will be sucked by you, the sixth son. Get more soul orbs, let's have 2 clones, and the main body hasn't taken off yet. In order to obtain soul orbs, we have to hunt and kill alien beasts. At our level, we can only shovel against alien beasts. This important task will be handed over to Brother Swallow. The Avatar, you interjected, and he said something, which provided Chinzi with an idea. Brother Swallow will play wild in the city for a while, and let him go outside the city to develop. In case of a good idea, I got the soul orb again. There is still more than half an hour in the training room. Chinzi was too lazy to practice, and simply lay down and turned on the air conditioner. Then he took out his mobile phone and dialed Chin Yu's number. After making 3 phone calls in a row, Chin Yu's tired voice finally sounded from the opposite side. I've already told you, my sister, I'm fighting to the death with a foreign race, so don't call if you have nothing to do. Faintly, Chinzi heard other voices. Follow up quickly, we will reach the top of the mountain soon. I've already arranged a hot spring hotel to watch the sunrise tomorrow morning. Chinzi's face was full of black lines. A decisive battle with a foreign race on the top of the Forbidden City, right? Hurry up and pay, I'm going to have nothing to eat. The first priority now is cultivation. Chinzi didn't bother to worry about where the elder sister and the others were wandering. You still need money for meals. Chin Yu was puzzled. Chinzi, how fresh, who doesn't need money for food? Chin Yu, that's right, I haven't heard of it. Chinzi, you don't need money to drink Northwest Wind, do you want to drink it? I don't drink. I don't drink either. Who is a decent person to drink the Northwest Wind? Then hurry up and pay. Hello, the signal here is a bit bad, so hang up first, beep beep. Chinzi gritted his teeth and called his parents again. Sorry, the user you dialed is temporarily unavailable, please try again later. Was blocked. Chinzi fell into deep self-doubt. Are you your own? When the time ended, Chinzi walked out of the martial arts hall. Welcome to visit next time. The welcoming lady at the gate smiled and bowed. Did my sister work in a barber shop before? Chinzi asked curiously. The young lady shook her head. No, I work part-time in the bathing center. All right, it is also a professional counterpart. Chinzi randomly found a pig's knuckle restaurant downstairs at home and spent 15 yuan. Just after dinner, there were not many customers in the store, so Chinzi sat down in a corner. The TV on the wall was broadcasting the River City Evening News. There is a crack 26 kilometers east of the city. No less than 30 F-class beasts have been released so far. Law enforcement is cleaning it up. Residents should not leave the city unless necessary. The secret realm of Zhongcheng has been stabilized. The city defense department is leading a team to clean up the danger. It will be open to the public at a later date. There are more than 100 days left before the college entrance examination. 5 days later, you can register for the martial arts exam. Students, cheer up and strive for the great rejuvenation of the human race. The pork knuckle rice was served. There are meat, rice and vegetables. The taste is also quite good. In the next few days, Chinzi practiced step by step. Why didn't he bother to ask for trouble again, and when he saw Chinzi, he almost always took a detour. This morning Chinzi had just sat down in the classroom, when the fat man excitedly ran over to hold his hand. Brother Z, I have awakened my natural ability. The talents and abilities are strange and varied. Breathing fire and spitting water, the force is infinite, even urinating higher and farther. These all count. There are 2 sources of natural ability. One is self-awakening, the probability is very low. About 1 in 10,000 people can awaken. Another source is the soul orb of a strange beast. The ranks of the beasts from low to higher F, E, D, C, B, A, S, SS and SSS. Usually, only monsters above level B have innate abilities, and they inherit them through soul orbs. When a warrior eats the soul orb of a strange beast, he will inherit the natural ability of the strange beast. Brother Swallow is the second type. What ability have you awakened? Chinzi asked curiously. Watch me show. Fatty proudly stood up straight. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. The fat man suddenly drenched in sweat and sat down on the seat. So your innate ability is kidney deficiency. Chinzi really opened his eyes. He even has this kind of evil talent. Brother Z, didn't you see it? The fat man wiped his sweat. What did you see? I teleported just now. My innate ability is teleportation. Chinzi, are you making fun of me for a fool? The fat man had just stood there and hadn't moved. It's true, my innate ability is to teleport 5 centimeters. Chinzi was silent. He couldn't complain for a while. It's not as long as when I was soft. Chinzi said lightly. Fatty explained. Innate ability will grow with the increase of blood value. 5 centimeters now, it is very likely to be 50 kilometers in the future. Chinzi, so your sea of chi can gather chi. Fatty, can't. Paji. The fat man lay down on the table, feeling infinitely emotional. Sure enough, I'm still a piece of trash. Chinzi patted him on the shoulder. Another way of thinking, if you can awaken your talent, it means you are the chosen one. Believe in 30 years in Hedong, 30 years in Hexi, don't bully young people into poverty. Ding dong. Fatty's cell phone rang. After reading the text message, he suddenly cheered up. Brother Z, you were right, I am indeed the son of destiny. My girlfriend just broke up with me. Awakening weak abilities, the fiancé divorced, this is not appropriate to waste the male lead. Chinzi asked, which one? The fat man said happily, both of them will break up with me. Chinzi organized the language. Well, it's pretty good. Fatty was called out by his old class during class, and he didn't come back until a whole morning later. Brother Z, I was directly admitted to Wuhan University. The old class took me to the education department to test my natural ability. Then the people from the education department told me that those who have awakened their talents can directly fill in their volunteers without taking the martial arts test. The fat man told Chinzi excitedly what had happened this morning. Chinzi was thoughtful after hearing this. Still have this kind of operation. Speaking of which, I also have the innate ability to devour. Should I also go to the education department to test it? The avatar must not be exposed, this is the bottom line. After much deliberation, Chinzi decided to give up. One's own ability is not very visible, and one has to devour the blood of others. Moreover, law enforcement number 3 was staring at him, suddenly revealing the same innate ability as a strange beast. Wouldn't that mean directly telling law enforcement to arrest me? Hold on. Anyway, Chinzi felt that he could pass the martial arts test with his strength. The news of Fatty's awakening of his natural abilities spread quickly, and the students in the class cast envious looks. No one expected that the duo of waste materials guarding the trash can would all counterattack. One has cultivated the life-defying technique to the first level, and the other has awakened his ability. Brother Z, I'll give you both of these chi gathering pills, I don't need them anymore. The fat man took out the small black box again. Chinzi wanted to refuse, but the fat man stuffed it directly into his hand. Strive for a champion in the exam. When the time comes, I will say that my brother is the #1 scholar when I go out. Bell will have face. Chinzi smiled. Good brother. Fatty. Forever. After returning home at night, Chinzi took out the chi gathering pill and took one. The moment the chi gathering pill entered his throat, a warm current rushed into Chinzi's limbs. The sea of chi was immediately filled with chi, and Chinzi quickly used his thoughts to transform the chi into chi and blood. At this moment, Chinzi felt as if he was sitting on a ball of cotton, his whole body was light. Never felt so good. After an hour, Chinzi slowly opened his eyes. Standing up straight for a while, the bones all over the body made a series of explosive noises. Chinzi could feel that the blood value was approaching 1000 at this moment, although it was not stable. But after it stabilizes, it can't drop too much. The second chi gathering pill, Chinzi didn't eat it right away. Fatty had instructed that before becoming a formal martial artist, chi gathering pills should not be eaten too frequently, and should be taken at intervals of 1 month. Wet and sticky, Chinzi took a shower and went to bed. There is no moon tonight, and the whole city is shrouded in darkness. The girl who got off the evening shift was riding a bicycle on the way home. When passing the corner, a black figure suddenly jumped out from the side of the road, throwing people in the car to the ground. Woo woo woo. The girl wanted to ask for help, but her mouth was covered. Do not move. I'm just going out to ask for money, and by the way, ask the female bodhisattva. I don't mind cutting your throat if you make a sound. The man on his back took out a gleaming sharp knife. The girl immediately became quiet, and her tears fell down like beads with a broken thread. So cute. The man found valuables, and then dragged the girl to a place without street lights. This world really hates me more and more. There was a sudden exclamation from behind. The man turned sharply and saw a strange guy in a black cloak standing under the street lamp. Who are you? The man held the sharp knife tightly and used the girl as a shield. Since you ask the question sincerely, I will tell you mercifully. To prevent the world from being destroyed, to protect the peace of the world. The cloaked man slowly raised his head, with half of his face hidden in the shadows. It's Daddy. The man froze for a moment and cursed loudly. Go to Nima. If you want this girl to live, get out of here. Call. A gust of wind suddenly blew past his face. Out of the corner of his eye, the man glimpsed a corner of the black cloak. Just as he was about to swing the knife, his consciousness immediately fell into a bottomless abyss, and his whole body was drained of energy and blood. Looking at the man who fell to the ground and the man in the cloak who was close at hand, the girl shivered. Next time, don't walk alone at night. The cloaked man walked into the darkness. May I know your name? The girl boldly said cautiously. The other party lifted the cloak on his head, revealing half of the lion mask on his face. Call me the Night Lion King. The girl bowed gratefully and said, Thank you, Mr. Lion. When she straightened up, the lion was gone. The cloaked man walked back and forth through the narrow, dark streets, and finally stopped. It's annoying enough. It's like a piece of dog skin plaster, you can't even shake it off. Swish. A black figure descended from the sky. I finally caught you, Mr. Night Lion King. Law enforcement number 3 raised the corners of his mouth slightly. Chapter 11. I am not the Dark Night Lion King. You have found the wrong person. Then who are you? My tender daddy. Law enforcement number 3 snorted coldly. Your mouth really stinks. The cloaked man was impatient. What's going on? Get out of here. Law enforcement number 3 said solemnly. Unknown name, nicknamed Dark Knight Lion King. In the past few nights, you have ambushed 21 passers-by and sucked their blood away. In addition, you were related to the death of an S-class beast not long ago. I declare now that you are under arrest. The cloaked man was disdainful. I punish rape and eliminate evil for you. Not only are you not grateful, but you also come to arrest me. Law enforcement number 3 frowned slightly. If you have anything to say, you can go to the law enforcement department and the judge will give you justice. He has been tracking the cloaked man for several days, and he deeply suspects that he is the one who poached the S-beast's soul beads. As long as the cloaked man is arrested and brought to justice, his KPI for next month will be up to standard. The cloaked man smiled. Then what if I don't go with you? Law enforcement number 3 took out the golden spell. You will definitely follow me. As soon as the words fell, a wave of righteousness descended from the sky and hit the cloaked man heavily. The cloaked man trembled all over, as if every cell and pore were struggling against the power of the magic card. Law enforcement number 3 said in a deep voice, Who the hell are you? He thought the cloaked man was imprisoned by the magic card. Suddenly, the cloaked man raised his head and grinned. What a big boy, I'm a tender father. Boom, the man in the cloak exploded with energy and blood. Like an arrow that leaves the string, it disappears under the street lamp in the blink of an eye. Law enforcement number 3 was left alone in a mess in the wind. He glanced at the magic card in his hand in disbelief. I really saw a ghost. Another person who can counteract the power of spell cards. He couldn't help but see the face of Chinzi in his mind. Snort. Don't try to escape this time. Law enforcement number 3 put away the cards and suddenly accelerated to catch up. Stop. Law enforcement number 3 chased into an alley, took out the golden hoop and was about to throw it out, when a guy wearing a monkey mask jumped off the street lamp. Good evening. The monkey mask blocked the way, and law enforcement number 3 watched helplessly as the cloaked man disappeared. 3 was furious. A low-level martial artist dared to stop him. How bold. Don't be angry, anger hurts your body. Another man wearing an elephant mask came out from the depths of the alley. There are just 4 of us, do you want to have an exciting game of flying chess? Law enforcement number 3 turned his head and saw a rooster mask leaning against the wall, tossing a coin in his hand. He is combing the middle part and wearing overalls, and he can play basketball very well at first glance. A gang commits a crime. Law enforcement number 3 frowned slightly, realizing that things were not that simple. Just because you 3 low-class guys want to stop me. He is a level 2 peak warrior. To put it bluntly, these 3 people can be blown up with one hand. Tell me who you are. Law enforcement number 3 once again activates the power of the magic card. However, the 3 of them were not affected in the slightest and looked at him playfully. Number 3 looked at the dealt cards and then at the 3 people in front of him. He even wondered if his magic card was broken. This is a regular weapon. How come so many people can defy the rules? Since you ask the question sincerely, then we will tell you mercifully. Each of the 3 said a sentence, in the shape of a character, heading towards number 3's future. The rooster mask raised its head and proudly said, We are from Heightsea Circus. There was no sound at the scene. Elephant mask. Who named this? Monkey mask. Hey, what are you doing? Rooster tugged at the straps on his shoulders. This group name is very suitable for the shape I specially made today. Elephant raised his hand. True fans protest. The monkey was thoughtful. Outsiders will think we are a group of clowns when they hear the name circus. Rooster shrugged. You can give the clown mask to Ben. Seeing the 3 of them chatting in full swing, they completely ignored themselves. Law enforcement number 3's forehead burst out with veins. Which mental hospital are these 3 mental patients who escaped? Enough. Law enforcement number 3 couldn't take it anymore, and raised his hand to grab the nearest cock. Yoo-hoo. Well done. The rooster mask turned sideways, advancing instead of retreating, and Tishan went up against difficulties. Law enforcement number 3 was stunned. Who gave you the courage of this low-level martial artist to face up to a second-level martial artist? When the 2 got closer, number 3 realized that something was wrong. The exposed skin of the rooster mask turned red like a steamed prawn. Number 3 thought of something, and quickly backed away, but it was too late. Art as Patrick. Brother Rooster opened his arms, his body exploded with a boom, and the bloody shock wave instantly swallowed No. 3. Elephants and monkeys followed, and a violent explosion collapsed half the alley. The sky was full of dust, and a small blood-colored mushroom cloud rose from the ground. Cough, cough, cough. After more than 10 minutes, the aftermath of the explosion dissipated. Number 3 leaned on the wall in a panic, almost coughing up bile. The uniform on his body was as tattered as a beggar, and there was a faint green light mask all over his body, flickering on and off. Madman. A bunch of lunatics. These 3 people came to block themselves. From the beginning, they didn't want to live, and wanted to blow themselves up and die with him. If number 3 hadn't reacted quickly and activated the defensive equipment in time, he would have followed dust to dust, dust to dust. The scene was a mess. After the 3 blew themselves up, there was nothing left, the Lion King was lost, and the clues were broken again. Heitsi Circus. Number 3 muttered to himself. Such an organization appeared in Zhongcheng unexpectedly. These people don't take their lives seriously. In order to protect stronger teammates, weaker companions will even choose to self-destruct to delay time. Must report. If this circus is allowed to continue to develop, I don't know what the consequences will be. After calming down, number 3 limped out of the alley. Early the next morning, when Qinzi was brushing his teeth, the avatar next to him was reporting while passing a towel. Brother Swallow was blocked by that idiot law enforcement last night. We blew up 3 brothers to get away. The avatar and the main body share all the memories, and Qinzi knew it the first time it happened. It's just that listening to the avatar's report will make you look more elegant and ceremonial. Qinzi took the towel and wiped his mouth. Send 5 more brothers over there. Since swallowing brother shared Bo Shouwei last time, Qinzi can now split into 2 clones a day. During this period of time, he has accumulated a lot of avatars, enough to serve as cannon fodder for Brother Swallow. By the way, I will be called the leader in the future. After washing, Qinzi called out 2 clones while eating breakfast, and activated the devouring skill to drain their blood. Leaving a few clones to deal with the corpse, Qinzi went out to school. Good morning. Just as Qinzi was about to enter the school gate, law enforcement number 3 suddenly appeared. Zhou Sao, you can't walk without making a sound. Qinzi was startled. If you don't do anything wrong, don't be afraid of ghosts knocking on the door. Number 3 said. Or, what kind of thing did you do, Mr. Qin? Qinzi raised his eyebrows. I am a good young man who abides by the law. Don't forget that magic cards are useless to me. It's better not to mention this. This mention reminded number 3 of the unpleasant memories of last night. I came here to tell you that I have already started investigating the alien beasts in the mental hospital, and you are no longer suspected for the time being. Number 3 looked into Qinzi's eyes. Unfortunately, Qinzi didn't have much emotional change. You actually suspect that I, a weak student, killed the strange beast. What a joke. Qinzi looked harmless to humans and animals. Number 3 changed the subject. The college entrance examination is about to take place. Don't wander around at night if you have nothing to do. There is a serial killer on the street. Thanks for reminding me, I'm going to be late, let's talk next time. Qinzi turned and walked towards school. Heitsi Circus. Number 3 suddenly shouted. Qinzi didn't react at all and walked forward on his own. Number 3 frowned slightly. Am I wrong? Those stinky guys last night gave number 3 the same feeling as Qinzi. He wanted to test whether Qinzi was related to the circus, but he was a little disappointed. Holmes is possessed. This can be traced back to me. Qinzi muttered as he walked into the teaching building. Brother Devouring has to keep a low profile for a while recently. Wait for the news to pass before taking action. Brother Z, He Guang came out yesterday. As soon as he sat down next to the trash can, the fat man next to him immediately looked over. So fast. Qinzi thought He Guang would be imprisoned for at least 10 days and a half. It was only a week before he was released. I heard that He Bai's eldest brother used all his military exploits to free He Guang. The fat man whispered. Brother Z, why don't you stay at my house for the next 2 days? Fatty is worried about He Guang's revenge. Qinzi shook his head. register for the martial arts exam today, and I will have the status of a martial arts examinee immediately. He Guang will not do anything to me unless he doesn't want to live anymore. The fat man was still a little uneasy. If something goes wrong, you should run to my house quickly. Qinzi was still a little touched. Although the world has changed greatly, the brothers around me have not changed at all. After all, if something happens to you, I won't be able to explain it to Sister Yu when she comes back. Fatty muttered. Qinzi raised his hand and scalped it. The school bell rang and the old classmate walked into the classroom. Students who want to register for the martial arts exam should immediately go to the corridor to line up, and follow me to the playground for the Qi and blood test. The college entrance examination is divided into literary examination and martial arts examination. Those students who lack vitality and have no talent for martial arts can only take the martial arts exam and enroll in ordinary universities. Students who pass the Qi and blood test not only have to take the literary test, but the subsequent martial arts test is a top priority. There are a total of 45 students in the class, and 30 students took the martial arts exam and followed the old class downstairs to test their energy and blood. The Qi and blood tester is the same as the one in the martial arts school. Punch it with all your strength. 100 is the threshold, and only those who meet the threshold can take the martial arts exam. This threshold is very simple for students who have been preparing for the martial arts exam 3 years ago. 741. This is almost a first-level warrior. It's so scary. The top pick in this year's martial arts examination must be him. The team in the next class suddenly burst into exclamations. It turns out that someone measured the Qi and blood as high as 741, which is almost the highest ever. The other person was a handsome guy with a cocky look, and he acted calmly to the exclamations around him. Fang Songhua comes from a martial arts family. He has had excellent resources since he was a child. It is reasonable for him to have high energy and blood. As long as everyone is admitted to the martial arts university, the school will be rich in resource rewards. By then, the gap between you and those born in these big families will become smaller and smaller. The old classmate clapped his hands and encouraged the classmates. Qinzi felt a little ridiculous. Narrowing the gap. I'm afraid it will only get bigger and bigger. Qinzi, you come first. After learning from teacher Yao that Qinzi had mastered the destiny-defying technique to a level of perfection, Lao Ban had high hopes for him. The named Qinzi came to the tester and punched casually. 327, passed, next, shouted the staff next to the tester. When Lao Ban saw the test results, his face showed a little disappointment. For someone who has been able to practice a level of fate-defying magic, the health value of 327 is too mediocre. Why should you become arrogant again when you see this? Fortunately, he thought Qinzi was so powerful before. That's it. Next, keep your eyes open and take a good look at my progress during this period. Why should you concentrate and raise your energy when your whole body is boiling with energy and blood? Boom. There was an explosion, and the number on the tester rose rapidly, finally stabilizing at 690. 609, passed, next one. The staff said in disbelief. There are so many talented people in No. 2 middle school this year. In previous years, the peak energy and blood did not exceed 500. Today, 2 people have exceeded 500 so quickly. Returning to the class team, He-Fei glanced at Qinzi provocatively. A clay leg is a clay leg. Without the support of massive resources, what will happen no matter how talented you are? Why be complacent and think that you have left Qinzi behind? Qinzi yawned. Do you understand obscene development? On the day of the martial arts test, Brother Z will let you take a good look at what it means to be a blockbuster. After a morning, all the Qi and blood tests in the school were completed. A total of 321 people from the number 2 middle school took the test, and 290 people passed. Among them, there are 21 people with Qi and blood exceeding 500, and the highest one is Fang Songhua. The average health value this year is much higher than in previous years. It is said that the number 1 middle school next door is even more exaggerated. Back in the classroom, the old class announced another thing. Students who have passed the test have a good rest. Tomorrow the school will take everyone to a different world for a trial. Is the foreign land open to the outside world? Qinzi checked the information on the internet and found that generally foreign lands are not open to the public until officials have explored them for a month. Less than 10 days have passed. There is weirdness. Now let me read the group list. Teacher Yao's group, Qinzi, *********************************************************************************************************************ğ The fat man poked Qinzi with a playful smile. It's great to go with Teacher Yao tomorrow. Other students also cast envious looks at the few people in Teacher Yao's group. In the afternoon, there is Teacher Yao's body casting class. While teaching Qinzi, Teacher Yao suddenly asked, I saw you being stopped by law enforcement at the school gate in the morning. Did something happen? Qinzi smiled. That's my distant cousin who gave me the key. Teacher Yao nodded and didn't say much on this topic. The life-defying technique and qi and blood complement each other. Now your life-defying technique has reached the bottleneck. If you want to continue to improve, you must increase your blood. Qinzi replied. I see, thank you Teacher Yao. In the evening, Qinzi was going home to eat steamed buns. With his current wealth, he can't even eat a few steamed buns. Just as Qinzi was sighing, Ma Yan suddenly called. Qinzi, do you have time tonight? Come to your house for dinner. Qinzi's eyes lit up, and he finally no longer had to eat steamed buns. Ma Yan's family lives in a shantytown next to the city wall. This is the very edge of the city, where the lowest level people in the city live. The dirty and messy environment breeds all kinds of crimes. Qinzi turned around and stopped in front of a security door covered with graffiti. Dong dong dong. Qinzi, it's me. Squeak. The security door opens. Ma Yan wore a black apron and her hair was tied into a loose ponytail and rested on one side of her chest. Qinzi's mind immediately popped up. Madam, you don't want to either. Please come in quickly. Ma Yan welcomed him warmly. The house is not big, with 2 bedrooms, 1 living room and an open kitchen. Although the furniture is old, the house is very clean. It was in stark contrast to the smelly, garbage-strewn streets outside. Yan Yan, are there any guests? A woman's voice came from a room with the door ajar. Mom, he is the younger brother of one of my classmates. He helped me a lot last time. I invited him to my house for dinner. Ma Yan explained. Then you have to thank them properly. There was no more sound in the room. Hello, Aunt. Qinzi politely greeted him outside the door, but received no response. Ma Yan smiled. My mother's ears don't work very well. Qinzi nodded. I understand. Dinner was quickly prepared. 4 dishes and 1 soup. Although they are all home-cooked dishes, they are delicious and tasty. Especially Qinzi gnawed on steamed buns for several days, which was a feast for him. Auntie, don't you want to eat? Qinzi saw that there were only 2 of them. Ma Yan shook his head. My mother is paralyzed and can only lie on the bed. I will send her to her later. Let's eat first and don't worry about her. The 2 chatted while eating. Ma Yan told many interesting stories about his time with Qinyu in college. Qinzi also learned that Ma Yan's job was as a front desk in a pharmaceutical company. In order to earn more medical expenses for my bedridden mother, I would do other part-time jobs after get off work. What caused Auntie's illness? Qinzi asked curiously. My mother used to be a sanitation worker. She accidentally met a warrior while working, and then, that's it. Ma Yan was neither happy nor sad. Qinzi frowned. The other party didn't compensate. Ma Yan looked at Qinzi in surprise. That's a formal warrior. It would be nice to let us go. What compensation should we give? Ma Yan thought this was a matter of course, but Qinzi felt very unhappy. By the way, He Guang was released by the law enforcement department. Go home early from get off work these days. If you find anything wrong, call me. Qinzi didn't take He Guang seriously before. But now after hearing the experience of Ma Yan's mother, Qinzi is worried that He Guangsang is crazy and will do something to Ma Yan. I'll pay attention. Ma Yan nodded. After finishing the meal, Qinzi stood up and left. Ma Yan sent him to the door and suddenly said, I heard from Xiaoyu that you signed up for the martial arts exam. Qinzi, you must become a warrior. From Ma Yan's eyes, Qinzi saw unwillingness, stubbornness and a trace of relief. Qinzi felt mixed emotions in his heart, and the corners of his mouth raised slightly as he said, Sister Ma Yan, don't forget to go to the scene on the day of the martial arts test, and see how I win the top prize. Ma Yan, come on. Saying goodbye to Ma Yan, Chinzi walked alone in the shantytown. Tramps in shabby clothes and drunkards walking unsteadily can be seen everywhere. Chinzi was still a little uneasy and left a clone nearby. He family. Third brother, this is for you. He Guang called He Bai to his bedroom and gave him a dagger. Injecting qi and blood can initiate slashing attacks. The more qi and blood, the greater the power. Why bother looked at the dagger in his hand and wondered, isn't this your standard weapon, second brother? Why did you give it to me? A trace of venom flashed across He Guang's face. Aren't you going to practice in a foreign land tomorrow? Use this to cripple that Chin guy so that he won't be able to get out of bed for the rest of his life. If his eldest brother hadn't told him that now was a special time and he couldn't do anything to the martial arts candidates, he would have killed them long ago. Don't you Chinzi want to take the martial arts exam? I will directly destroy your Qihai, so that you can only be a useless person for the rest of your life. Thinking of Chinzi's future life being worse than death, He Guang felt relieved. Second brother, there's no need to go to such trouble. During the last qi and blood test, Chinzi was only over 300, and I could crush him to death with just one hand. Why do you think the second brother is making a fuss out of a molehill? Once bitten, twice shy. Hearing this, He Guang frowned. More than 300? Impossible. He has personally experienced the power of Chinzi's fist. Although he was drunk that night, his reflexes in all aspects were reduced. But no matter how severe the decline is, it cannot be beaten down by a brat with a blood in his early 300s. According to his estimate, Chinzi's punch generated at least 500 qi and blood. I was watching while he was testing it. Can the machine still be fake? Seeing that the second brother was so cautious, why should he sigh helplessly? He Guang fell into deep self-doubt. Could it be that I'm so weak that I can control a kid with 300 HP at will? To be on the safe side, take the weapons first and give them to me after you leave the foreign land. Why can't you beat the second brother, so you can only accept it? Don't worry, second brother, I will kill him tomorrow to relieve your anger. He Guang patted He Bai on the shoulder. Good brother. Chinzi didn't know that the two brothers of the He family were planning to trick him. After returning home, he took a shower and went to bed. In addition, I specifically asked Brother Swallow not to do any activities tonight. It suddenly started raining in the middle of the night. There seemed to be a hole in the sky, and the whole city was submerged in the downpour. Ah, sneeze. Number 3, who was squatting on a rooftop in the city center, sneezed. Even though I was wearing a raincoat, I was still wet all over. The view here is the best, and he can have a panoramic view of most of the city at the slightest movement. Tonight, he had been squatting in the rain for most of the night. It was almost dawn, but there was no trace of the circus. Can you be more dedicated? I won't come out to check in when it rains. How can I be a villain if I'm so lazy? Number 3 gritted his teeth. After squatting for another hour, he sneezed and cursed as he looked for a place to hide from the rain. Early the next morning, all the students who were going to the foreign land gathered in the playground, and buses would take them to the foreign land. This is the first time Chinzi has left the city since time travel. The scene outside the city is very desolate. In the endless wilderness, there is only one winding road. All vegetation over half a meter high within a 10-kilometer radius around the city was cut down so that no strange animals could hide in it. Half an hour later, 10 buses drove into a temporary base. Soldiers from the city defense department guarded this place at all levels and were heavily guarded. As soon as he got off the car, Chinzi saw the gorgeous colorful glow in the sky not far away, like a colorful bubble. Under the beautiful glow, there is a 20-meter-long vertical crack that opens from the sky to the ground. The trial team from No. 2 middle school gathers. Chinzi quickly found Teacher Yao's team, 2 men and 2 women. Let me tell you about everyone's trial task today. This alien land is a labyrinth, and the alien beasts in our trial place are all less than F level. Compared with the level of warriors, it is about 0.3 level, which is a good target for everyone to fight. We're going to explore unexplored areas and map them. At that time, rewards will be issued based on everyone's performance, and the progress of killing strange beasts and drawing maps will be counted. Teacher Yao gave everyone a locator the size of half a palm and a dagger. The signals of many locators are aggregated to the switchboard to automatically form a map. It's no wonder that the foreign land was opened in advance. It turned out that it was to find someone to run the map. Qin Zi suddenly realized, this is similar to the internship of college students in previous lives. They were all sent to work in the assembly line by the teacher. Pure tool people, everyone stay with me, don't get separated. Teacher Yao led 5 people to the huge crack. All the students who came to practice today are number 2 middle school students, in groups of 5. Since there were not so many teachers, some warriors from the city defense department joined them and became escorts. The person standing at the front of the rift is sucked in immediately, into groups every 3 minutes. Soon it was Qin Zi's turn. Relax, there will be no danger. Teacher Yao comforted everyone. Qin Zi only felt a white light flash before his eyes. After a few seconds, vision is restored. In front of him was a passage 3 meters high and 2 meters wide. It's like the inside of a building. The ground was in a mess, with broken wires, all kinds of garbage, and unknown debris piled up together. The surrounding walls have all been painted, and the overhead lights seem to be flickering because of insufficient electricity. Follow me. Teacher Yao led the 5 people into a narrower passage. There were no strange beasts or human corpses along the way. There are rooms on both sides of the passage, with many beds in them, like a dormitory, which further strengthens Qin Zi's idea that people have lived here. Teacher Yao, is every foreign world the same? Qin Zi asked. Foreign lands are unique. Teacher Yao began to popularize science. Foreign lands can be roughly divided into 2 types, one is accessible and the other is not. The inaccessible foreign land is either filled with poisonous fog or full of radiation. People will die once they enter. Although the foreign land that can be entered will not die immediately, it is also full of danger. After entering the foreign land, you must keep your spirits up. Hearing this, except for Qin Zi, the expressions on the faces of the other 4 were tense. Squeeze. A humanoid beast suddenly jumped out of the room on the right. It has no hair all over its body, and its poop yellow skin is full of folds. The girl who was walking in the front was slapped face to face by the strange beast, and she was so frightened that she froze in place, forgetting to fight back. Seeing that the beast's claws were about to hit his face, at the critical moment, Qin Zi's layer of life-defying skill erupted, beheading the beast's head with a single blow. Compared with the strange beast encountered in the mental hospital, it was like a heaven and an earth. Qin Zi estimated that the combat power of this strange beast was only 3 big geese. Looking at the headless corpse on the ground, the girl who came back to her senses spat out with a, wow. Qin Zi's reaction is the fastest, and this is the quality that a warrior should have. Teacher Yao said with satisfaction. After vomiting, the girl lowered her head in shame. The group continued to move forward, and encountered several similar humanoid beasts one after another. With Qin Zi making a sample, the others soon followed suit. The level of these strange beasts is about the same as that of everyone else, and they have no weapons. Fighting alone is no match for the students. Teacher Yao was in the rear and only made shots at critical moments. 2 hours later, 2/3 of the progress of the map has been completed. The team walked a few hundred meters further, and the trial mission was completed. Teacher Yao, I have to go to the toilet. Qin Zi clutched his stomach. Go back quickly, Teacher Yao said. Qin Zi ran back for a while, found a room and got into it. Split up and act. Qin Zi called out 5 clones. Currently, the rooms in this section of the passage were all filled with beds, and he was curious about what other places looked like. A few minutes later, Qin Zi returned to join the team. In the room just now, Qin Zi walked out one after another and walked in the direction they came from. There are so many passages here, it's like an underground ant nest. Qin Zi estimated that even if he released dozens of clones, he wouldn't be able to finish the exploration in just a few days. On the other side, Bai also broke away from the team and wandered around like a headless fly. I remember Qin Zi's team came in this direction. After wandering around for a long time, why did he find that he was back to the same place again? He seems to have lost his way. Why choose another door while cursing? As soon as I opened the door, I bumped into a clone of Qin Zi. Blind, why cover your head and take 2 steps back? When I saw the other person's face clearly, I was overjoyed. You can't find anything even after wearing iron shoes, but it takes no effort to get there. Chinzi, finally let me find you. Chinzi pushed him aside and passed him by. Sorry, I'm not gay. Swish. Before the clone had gone far, a sword energy struck from behind, cutting off the clone's legs. Josao, you old fool. The avatar was caught off guard. Why should you be so complacent? Chinzi, remember, a mud-legged person will always be a mud-legged person. You still want to sit on our heads and shit, it's a daydream. Why bother? Kicked the clone again and walked away satisfied. Second brother's business is done, it's time for me to return to the team. Why go through a few more doors and see a familiar figure standing in the room through the glass on the wall? Chinzi, why should my eyes pop out? Chinzi had clearly cut off his legs just now, how could he still be standing here unharmed now? Why is it you, the sixth one again? The clone was a little surprised, and he didn't expect to meet him again. Why swing your sword to cut off the opponent's legs again? Let's see how you recover. Close the door and let him fend for himself inside. Why bother? As soon as he walked out of the passage, he saw another Chinzi. What a ghost. Why realize something is wrong? Smelly six, eat me with a shovel. Clone Chinzi accelerated and shoveled towards Hebai. Court death. Why bother to do the same thing and break the legs of the doppelganger? It's really evil. Why bother to frown? He found that the strength of these three Chinzi was greatly reduced, and they did not have the level of destiny reverse technique at all. Could it be that I have entered an illusion? Why bother to turn on the locator and walk quickly in the direction he came from? He wanted to leave this strange world quickly. Where are you going in such a hurry? He hadn't gone very far, so there was no need to be blocked by the sudden appearance of the fourth Chinzi. Why bother to hold the dagger tightly, trembling uncontrollably? Who are you? The 5 clones sent by Chinzi were all destroyed by Hibiga. Originally, the avatar could hide, why bother to leave? But when the first clone had its legs cut off, the other clones started to work. Why bother to take the initiative to come to the door to flirt with? As for exploring the map, there's no point molesting male high school students. Chinzi was completely speechless. Don't blame us, we share a processor, our ideas are your ideas. That's right, it's clear that you want to make a living, so we went. That kid is a little schizophrenic now, I'm laughing to death. When the 5th brother appeared, I was scared to pee. The brothers blew themselves up with their last breath, and the hair was not left behind, and the tomb could not stand. It's all Chinzi's fault. +1. Chinzi rolled his eyes, too lazy to argue with them. Okay, all the places assigned to us have been explored. Teacher Yao took out the tablet and clicked. The team's trial mission is now over. After a whole morning, Chinzi and the others were only a small part of exploring the foreign land. The remaining maps are estimated to be handed over to martial arts candidates from other middle schools. On the way, each person killed 10 strange beasts on average. Although it was a bit embarrassing, the eyes of several people were shining. After all, it was the first actual battle. Okay, let's go back. Teacher Yao submitted the map and put away the tablet. Chinzi, who was wandering in the front, suddenly found a collapsed wall, behind which was a big dark hole. It looked like it had been dug out by something, and gravel and soil were piled up on the ground at the entrance of the hole. Quack quack quack. There was a strange noise in the cave. Chinzi, get ready to go. Teacher Yao called out. Oh, here we come. Chinzi glanced into the hole, it was pitch black and he couldn't see anything. As soon as he turned around, he found that the faces of several classmates had turned extremely pale. What's wrong with you? You, behind you. A female classmate stretched out her right hand and pointed, her body shaking like a sieve. Chinzi suddenly lowered his head, only to realize that he was shrouded in a huge shadow. Get down, Teacher Yao yelled, and a fist slammed towards Chinzi's head. Chinzi put his head in his hands and quickly lay down on the ground. Immediately afterwards, there was an explosion sound behind him, which made his brain buzz. Chinzi shook his head, and out of the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of a huge black figure rushing out from behind him, heading straight for Teacher Yao. It was a humanoid beast over 2 meters tall. Unlike the other beasts they encountered before, this one was obviously stronger and had extremely sharp claws. Boom! Teacher Yao punched the strange beast, and was shot flying in the next second. D-level alien beast. Note: equivalent to a third-level warrior. Go away, I'll hold it back. Teacher Yao got up quickly and stood in front of the students. After the 4 students came back to their senses, they hurried back to the way they came. Qinzi was saddened. The passage was so wide, and Teacher Yao and the strange beast were fighting fiercely in front of him, so he couldn't get through it at all. Qinzi turned his head to look at the pitch-black hole, gritted his teeth and went in. Teacher Yao, hold on, I'll get you rescuers. It was dark and cold in the cave. At the beginning, you were extremely narrow, and you were able to understand people. Repeat dozens of steps, then suddenly see the light. What is the taste? Qinzi suddenly smelled an extremely strong gas. At the same time, he found that the qi and blood in his body were dropping rapidly, and quickly attached himself to a clone. In this way, to die is to die first. Qinzi, I'm pretty. It's over before the avatar is finished. Qinzi immediately changed to another clone. The gas is poisonous and very toxic. The avatar can't survive half a minute in it. Boom! Qinzi kicked his feet hard, ejecting forward at extreme speed like a cannonball. Wherever it went, it was like laying eggs, leaving behind a body of clones. After throwing down a dozen corpses, Qinzi finally saw the light. He quickly moved to the light source and reached out to touch it. It was a cracked iron plate. Thump thump. After knocking, Qinzi found that the iron plate was not very thick. Gathering his energy and blood, he pierced the iron plate with a fist, and finally got out of the dark hole. Qinzi looked left and right, and found himself in a completely unfamiliar passage, where there was no poisonous gas. Front and rear are locked gray gates with a large Arabic numeral 10 on them. Organic life forms detected, start scanning. Scanning. A red light projected on Qinzi from a corner of the roof. Qinzi jumped, his whole body tensed up. But after a while, nothing happened. The scan results are carbon-based organisms, humans on Earth. Enable identity verification. Verifying. Qinzi looked at the red light source. He looked very much like Moss in a movie he had seen before. Verification failed, not a resident of this shelter. Prove your identity, otherwise you will be treated as an intruder. Qinzi panicked and quickly took out his student ID card. I'm a student of No. 2 middle school. The red light was projected onto the student ID card again. Linking database. Identity confirmation. Qinzi, a graduate of Zhongcheng No. 2 middle school, died on July 27, 2050 in the Great Shock calendar, Zhongcheng Beast Tide. Beanie Sacks. I am dead. Am I not living well now? And what the hell is this 2050? This year is obviously only 2025. At this moment, Qinzi was full of question marks, and he felt that he had uncovered the mysterious corner of the foreign land. The so-called secret realm is actually a refuge. The ones who avoided it seemed to be the strange beasts in the passage outside. People who came back from the dead, please disarm, I will take you to see the manager of the shelter. Qinzi obediently threw the dagger to the ground. At this time, a mechanical arm stretched out from the ground, picked up the dagger and put it away. Rumble. The gears on the front gate began to rotate a little bit, making an ear-splitting mechanical roar. A new copy is coming. Is there a boss standing directly behind the door? Then how do you play? You don't even give time to develop, the plot is killed. The artificial intelligence in the refuge is quite reasonable, and didn't shoot us, an unidentified outsider. Good sense of technology. Isn't it the world of high martial arts? Why did you switch to science fiction? Could the manager of the shelter be a big beauty? The avatars chattered and were very excited about the next scene. The same is true for Qinzi. After all, this is a place that even the official has not explored. The air in that channel is not only poisonous, but also extremely corrosive. Even if you come in wearing a gas mask, your body will be corroded into a pool of rotten flesh within 2 minutes. Unless there is a bug like Qinzi's avatar stuck, other people can't get in at all. Click. The mechanical gear seemed to turn its head, and the alloy gate slowly opened to one side. Strange outsider. Welcome to Vault 10. There is no boss behind the door, but a more spacious and bright passage. Please follow the directions. The ground projects an arrow pointing forward. Every time Qinzi takes a step forward, the arrow moves 1 step forward. This feels a bit like a novice tutorial at the beginning of the game. Following the guidance of the arrow, Chinzi quickly went deep into the number 10 shelter. Unlike the situation outside, the facilities inside are obviously more abundant. Power plants, water stations, lounge areas, fitness areas, canteens, dormitories, and even an oversized swimming pool. But all the facilities that can be used in life are readily available here. However, it was strange that Chinzi didn't see a single shelter resident along the way. The huge refuge was quiet, only the rhythmic footsteps of Chinzi. The manager's office is here. As the arrow disappeared, Chinzi stood in front of a closed alloy room door. Chinzi hesitated for a moment, and finally raised his hand and knocked on the door. Dong dong dong. Hello. There was no response from inside the door. Dong dong dong. Hello, is anyone there? Chinzi knocked repeatedly for a while, and there was not even a fart sound in the office. Big guts. How dare you ignore me, Brother Z? Kick the door open. This refuge is so weird, so be careful. It's all here, I have to see what kind of guy that manager is. After brainstorming with the avatars, Chinzi decided to break in. Concentrate chi and blood, lift your foot and kick left. Dwang. Ouch, I'm going. Chinzi cupped his feet and jumped back on one leg. Pain. It hurts so much. The alloy gate remained motionless, and Chinzi almost broke his foot. After studying the gate, Chinzi found a handle on the side of the door. Twist lightly. Caw. The door opened. Chinzi was taken aback. There are 10,000 words of MMP in my heart, and I don't know whether to say it or not. Pushing open the door, a rotten air rushes towards you. The administrator's office is large in size. 2 of the walls are covered with display screens, and you can see every corner of the shelter. There is a desk in the center of the office, and on the desk is a corpse with only a skeleton left. Chinzi stepped forward and saw that there was a pistol on the right side of the skull, and the temple on the right side of the skull was scorched black. Apparently, the man shot himself. Is this guy the manager of the shelter? Chinzi's idea was quickly confirmed. There is a yellowed diary on the desk. Although I don't know how many years have passed, the diary is a little oxidized, but the writing on it is still vaguely recognizable. February 21, 2053. Today is the first day that all the residents moved into the shelter. The residents are very depressed, and everyone is full of confusion about the future, including me, the manager. To pass the time, I decided to start writing a diary today. Who is a serious person who keeps a diary? Chinzi is sure. This guy is the manager. But why did he commit suicide? Where did the residents in the shelter go? Chinzi continued to read. February 25, 2053. In order to improve everyone's mood, I decided to hold a fellowship party. The shelter is full of handsome men and beautiful women. After all, they are carefully selected for the purpose of breeding outstanding offspring. At the party, everyone was finally in high spirits and regained hope for the future life. March 10, 2053. There was a problem with the power generation module. Although the power was cut off for half a day, fortunately the problem was finally solved. The shelter relies on a nuclear reactor to generate electricity, which is planned to be able to generate electricity for 100 years. Please don't let anything go wrong with the reactor. All food and vegetables grown without soil rely on the power system. March 25, 2053. People are becoming more and more impetuous. Life in the shelter is not as good as imagined. After all, the scope of activities is limited, and it is no different from going to jail. Some residents want to sleep in a freezer, but unfortunately, there is no freezer in Vault 10. The cold storage consumes too much power and the shelter cannot maintain power. Today I learned the good news during a daily meeting with 9 other shelter managers. The abyss is closed, and there will no longer be any strange beasts. It would be great if the alienated ones could disappear together with the alien beasts. Chinzi saw a special noun. Alienator. Specifically distinguished from exotic beasts. Are you referring to those humanoid beasts outside? Since they are not alien beasts, where did the alienated ones come from? April 13, 2053. Bad news came. Vault number 3 was captured by alienators. I really deserve to die. April 27, 2053. Contact between Vaults 1 and 5 has also been lost. Some managers are beginning to question the decision-making of the shelter. Can you really survive as a turtle? The manager of Vault 6 has contacted Sky Island and wants to open the refuge to join the resistance. In the past, I might have persuaded him to join the resistance, which would only lead to death, but now we are just lingering for breath. Seeing this, Chinzi found that the manager had become very depressed. June 1, 2053. Now only shelter number 9 can maintain stable contact with me. To the residents inside vault number 10, I began to report good news instead of bad news. I have repeatedly told everyone that the shelter is absolutely safe and alienated people cannot enter. Self-deception. October 15, 2053. Vault 9 has also fallen, the shelter plan is a joke. In my last call with the manager of Vault 9, I learned that Kongdao has developed humanoid combat weapons, and it seems that living people are no longer needed on the front line. Do you want to join them? November 20, 2053. After a month of careful consideration, I decided to contact Kongdao once. The antenna is broken and someone must be sent outside to repair it. November 21, 2053. The alienated people rushed in when the door was opened. The east side dormitory has been occupied, and 4,000 residents who were unable to move in time died. November 23, 2053. The gate isolated the dormitory area on the east side, and alienators began to dig holes. Fortunately, I injected the corrosive poison into it in time. November 25, 2053. The shelter became an island. December 30, 2053. It's over, everything is over. The rainwater collection device was destroyed by alienators, and there is only one result waiting for us, death from thirst. January 1, 2054. The house leaked and it rained all night, the soilless cultivation device broke down, and we had nothing to eat. January 7, 2054. Residents spontaneously formed stormtroopers, but they couldn't even leave the east dormitory area. January 23, 2054. All shelter residents vote for collective euthanasia. January 24, 2054. I personally pressed the switch to release the sleeping gas, and 13,000 shelter residents will die peacefully in their sleep. I often wonder what would have happened if I had not developed the alpha reagent. Without alpha reagent, there would be no reverse alpha reagent, and there would be no alienators. But without the reverse alpha reagent, how can we deal with the alien beasts? Perhaps the end of mankind is destruction. The diary ends here. Chinzi felt a little heavy after closing the diary. The screen on the right wall is a picture of the dormitory area in the shelter. One after another, the white bones lay quietly on the bed, with their hands either placed on the sides of the body, or crossed flat on the lower abdomen. It can be seen that they were all peaceful before death. More than 10,000 lives were lost. Chinzi realized for the first time that life is so fragile. According to the content in the diary, there is no longer the threat of alien beasts in this world. In their place are creatures called aliens. The way it was born has to do with something called alpha reagent. The developer of alpha reagent is the owner of the diary and the manager of vault number 10. Facing the threat of alienated people, people in this world are divided into two groups. Conservatives and rebels. Conservatives all took refuge in shelters. There are 10 shelters in total, but they have all been destroyed by now. The rebels, also known as the rebels, live in a place called Sky Island. I don't know what's going on with the rebels on Sky Island now. Have you defeated the alienators outside? There is one more thing that Chinzi didn't understand. Why is there another self in this world? In one corner of the desk was a hand-worn microcomputer. This thing is too familiar. Pip-Boy. Chinzi picked up the Pip-Boy and put it on his wrist. Power on. A line of flame text slowly appeared on the screen. Welcome to Shelter Technology. Shelter Technology will serve you wholeheartedly. Chinzi twitched the corner of his mouth. The sense of sight is getting stronger and stronger. Please start identity verification. Enter fingerprints, iris. Following the boot prompts, Chinzi went through a series of tedious processes. This Pip-Boy seems to be new and has never been used. Identity verification completed. The authority of vault number 10 has been transferred from the former manager, Professor Lin Xiao, to the only human in the refuge, Chinzi. Chinzi was very surprised. Am I going to be a manager? Too hasty. Through the manager terminal on his wrist, Chinzi found that he could control the entire shelter, even the opening and closing of each door. In addition, the terminal has a user interface. The above shows the user's current physical indicators, including heart rate, blood pressure, respiratory rate, and even qi in blood. Qi in blood, 896. Got a little stronger again. This thing is quite good, it can be used as a portable blood tester. Call up information about alpha reagent. Qinzi wanted to see what the alpha reagent was. However, a line of red letters popped up in the terminal. Alpha reagent and reverse alpha reagent data have all been sealed. Except for Professor Lin Xiao, others have no right to view it. Qinzi's idea of exploring the truth fell through. Going around in the shelter, it didn't take long for him to find the gate of the armory. Let me see what big treasures there are in future technology. Qinzi rubbed his hands impatiently. Click, the door to the arsenal slowly opened. Seeing the scene inside, Qinzi was taken aback for a moment. The 200 square meter arsenal was empty, and it was even possible to run a horse inside. The safehouse's inventory of weapons has been exhausted by the stormtroopers. The terminal called up the records of the weapons in the arsenal. In order to fight for a chance of survival, the residents in the shelter formed several death squads. It is precisely because the weapons have been consumed and the aliens are still stalking outside the door that the residents of the shelter will finally choose to kill themselves. There are also several black equipment boxes in the corner. Qinzi stepped forward curiously and flipped through it. The first few boxes were all empty, and in the last box, Qinzi found a very cool black pistol. This pistol was a bit larger than the ordinary pistols he knew, with a thicker muzzle. The pistol is one piece and the magazine cannot be removed. Who is so boring? Put the toy gun in the arsenal. Qinzi was a little disappointed. At this time, the terminal suddenly popped up a message. Armament. Longway Improved Hand Cannon. Manufacturing Unit. Magic City Equipment Research Institute. Introduction. Absorb energy and blood to launch a powerful shot. The more energy and blood, the stronger the shooting power. Note. As the last generation of military equipment in the world, Longway Guy has condensed the wisdom of all the researchers of the Magical Military Equipment Research Institute and contains many surprises and small Easter eggs. Its power cannot be underestimated. Weapons. Qinzi Longyan is very happy. Unexpectedly, I really let myself pick up the treasure. Weapons are the exclusive weapons of warriors, and they can play a variety of magical functions when paired with qi and blood. Due to the special materials, the output of military equipment is very low, and the price is simply not affordable by ordinary warriors. Qinzi has only seen one weapon. The magic card in number 3's hand. He has been coveting that social death artifact for a long time. We must find a way to make one in the future. Putting the hand cannon away, Qinzi walked to the gate of the refuge, ready to go out and explore the outside world. Do you want to open the door to the shelter? Vault 10 has a front door and a back door. The front door is also the location of the East accommodation area, which has been occupied by aliens. Qinzi is now going through the back door. On. Rumble. The giant gear with the large number, 10, on it began to rotate slowly. With the continuous rotation of the gears, the 5-meter-high and half-meter-thick alloy gate was pulled open little by little to the side. The shelter, which had been covered in dust for an unknown number of years, ushered in the first ray of sunshine at this moment. Qinzi took a deep breath and walked out of the shelter vigilantly. Fortunately, there were no aliens nearby. Looking around, his first feeling was desolation. Endless desolation. The land is severely desertified, and there is almost no green in the field of vision. Looking into the distance, Qinzi saw crooked buildings. The building was completely cracked, and withered and yellow plants grew tenaciously from the gaps. The scene in front of him was like the end of the world. Let's go to the city first. If I can find a few more weapons, I will take off directly. Boom! Qinzi kicked his feet hard and ran towards the city quickly. Dang lang! At the edge of the city, a gust of wind blew by, and a decayed billboard was blown to Qinzi's feet. The font painted on it is still vaguely recognizable. Welcome to Zhongchang. This is actually Zhongchang. Qinzi frowned. From this deserted city, he couldn't see any familiar shadows. Hoo-hoo. Just when Qinzi was about to go deep into the city to explore, there was a piercing sound above his head. A huge aircraft dragged black smoke, staggered and flew from a distance. After flying over the city, black oval objects were dropped from under the aircraft. Immediately afterwards, a series of explosions sounded in the center of the city. Small mushroom clouds bloomed, and several rickety buildings were completely reduced to ruins. Even though Qinzi was at the outermost edge of the city, he was still thrown by the shock wave from the explosion. The aircraft that completed the bombing mission began to return the same way. Boom! As soon as it flew out of the city, the tail of the aircraft suddenly exploded, and then plunged into the ground not far away. Is it the rebels on Sky Island? In order to investigate the truth, wealth, and fortune wealth in this world, Qinzi is still hesitating whether to contact the local aborigines. The aircraft fell just a few hundred meters away. Based on the principle that everyone has come, Qinzi intends to go over and have a look. When Qinzi got close to the aircraft, he realized that the aircraft was so dilapidated. The top layer of paint and skin has been completely removed, and many parts of the inner skeleton are exposed. The tail is billowing black smoke. It seems that the engine is broken. This kind of thing can still fly into the sky. It really deserves to be a future technology decades later. The cockpit door was still tightly closed, and the pilot inside did not come out. "I'm here to save you. Are you still alive?" Qinzi shouted while standing more than 10 meters away. However, he shouted several times, but still did not get a response from the pilot. Qinzi took out his hand cannon and stepped forward a little bit. Through the transparent cover of the cockpit, Qinzi saw the state of the driver inside. The pilot has turned into a white bone, tightly pressed on the flight seat by the seat belt. He tilted his head to one side, staring directly at Qinzi with his dark eye sockets. Qinzi frowned. In the skeleton's current state of weathering, the pilot had been dead for at least 50 years. A bomber without a pilot can still go to the sky and carry out bombing. Thinking of this, Qinzi couldn't help getting goosebumps all over his body. This world is full of weirdness. Could it be the world of the Cthulhu evil god? Those alienated people are the minions of the evil god. The painting style is really similar. There was a hole in the cabin cover, and that's how the pilot was killed. My suggestion is to retreat first. The minister seconded the proposal. Not even a first-level martial artist, don't be so hard on your head. Qinzi became a little more serious. Yeah, a small shit yellow head suddenly popped out from the other side of the bomber. The big smart eyes were flickering, looking at Qinzi curiously. Alienated, Qinzi quickly opened the distance, aiming the hand cannon at the head. However, unlike the alienated people Qinzi had come into contact with before, this little guy had no desire to attack. He stuffed a few fingers into his mouth, and his face was full of innocence, exactly like a curious baby. How, come out, come out. The little guy spat out a few words vaguely. The alienist has spoken. There is no record in the diary left by the previous manager that alienated people can speak. Qinzi was about to communicate with him when he suddenly found a dozen adult alienated people around him. The aircraft smashed a large hole in the ground. Qinzi stood in the pit, surrounded by aliens outside the pit. Only now did he realize that he seemed to have broken into the den of the alienated. Mommy doo-doo stay. Qinzi raised his hands high, trying his best to look harmless to humans and animals. Like the little guy, the aliens around him didn't attack Qinzi either. Compared with the alienated people in the refuge, their faces were more emotional, and their eyes were only slightly red, staring at Qinzi like watching a giant panda. Outside, dangerous, underground, safe. The alienated stuttered, and Qinzi couldn't figure out why for a long time. Bang bang bang. Suddenly there was an explosion, and the alienated people outside the pit exploded into blood mist one after another. The little guy next to the aircraft was also blown away by the shock wave of the explosion and rolled to nowhere. Looking at the rotten meat everywhere, Qinzi swallowed. Am I hanging like this? Intention to kill. Call. A white figure descended from the sky. 11 low-level alienated people were found outside Zhongcheng, and all of them have been wiped out. It was a tall and slender Sister Yu, wearing a cool white mech. The facial features are extremely three-dimensional and exquisite, like a character walking out of the second dimension. The first time Qinzi saw her, he thought of the big sister in the 3D area. After Yu Jia reported the scene, she noticed Qinzi beside the aircraft. I'm not with them. Qinzi hurriedly opened his mouth, fearing that the other party would blow him up. Sister Yu widened her beautiful eyes, Human. Chinzi. Isn't it obvious? Sister Yu quickly came to Chinzi, her beautiful eyes full of curiosity and excitement. Chinzi was a little panicked. Sister Yu straightened her pretty face and introduced herself. Humanoid combat weapon, codenamed BT-21. I am the last of the first batch of BT series weapons. Chinzi responded. Hello, my name is Chinzi. It turns out that this is the humanoid combat weapon mentioned in the diary of the former manager. Just by looking at the appearance, it looks almost exactly like a human being, and you can't tell it's a robot at all. Chinzi, who was confused about the situation, decided to retreat first. He was not quite mentally prepared for contact with the local indigenous people, especially since he is still weak at the moment. Next time, be prepared and bring a large number of clones with you. Wouldn't it be nice? I suddenly remembered that I forgot to turn off the gas at home. Let's talk some other time. Chinzi turned around to run away. BT blocked him with a flash. Sir, please don't walk around casually. There are many alienated people nearby. I have contacted all the combat weapons here, and everyone will escort you back to the Sky Island together. Chinzi is very embarrassed. It's a bit troublesome. Kongdao is the local Aboriginal base camp, and he doesn't want to go yet. Soul Pearl. When Chinzi was thinking about how to politely refuse, he suddenly saw a bright soul bead hanging on BT's chest. BT noticed Chinzi's sight and took off the soul bead. Does the human master want this? Chinzi nodded, his breathing becoming increasingly rapid. Can you give me? No problem at all. BT handed the soul bead to Chinzi. This is the last abyssal beast I killed, a souvenir taken from its corpse. There are many more on display in the Sky Island Museum. Are there still empty islands? Still a lot. When will the main force arrive? I can't wait to meet my compatriots. Chinzi spoke righteously. Who knows, my family, I am about to pick up a bunch of soul beads for nothing. BT smiled and said, please wait a moment, we will be there soon. Chinzi checked the soul bead in his hand and found that it was slightly heavier than Miss Devourings. If you look carefully, you will see traces of electric snakes flowing inside the soul bead, and there is also a slight electric shock, and the palms of the hands feel numb. S-level soul beads. Chinzi's heart is surging. If it wasn't in front of outsiders, he would have wanted the clone to devour it on the spot. What ability will it be? Call, call, call. White figures descended from the sky. They wear the same standard mecha as BT, and their appearances are different, but they all look good. Chinzi wondered if the person who made them had any special habits. When pinching people, they all turned into women. What kind of battlefield Valkyrie? A dozen beautiful girls surrounded Chinzi tightly. Can I touch it? A girl asked cautiously. Facing that longing gaze, Chinzi couldn't bear to refuse, so he nodded, and everyone immediately rushed forward, as if they were petting cats in a cat cafe. Human Sama is so soft. There is a tail in front, tie pants are hot. It's also retractable, so amazing. This must be a very powerful weapon, right? Chinzi said with an old red face. Aang, super electromagnetic destruction cannon. Everyone exclaimed. Wow, it sounds very strong. After groping for a while, the Valkyries finally reluctantly took back their hands. BT-21, when will you leave? Chinzi couldn't wait. Let's go now. At that time, the clones will have one soul bead each and ascend directly on the spot. When I use 100 abilities, I wonder how you should respond. Dee. The Valkyrie's detection radar suddenly sounded a piercing alarm. Aliens are coming. Hurry up and protect the adults. Following BT-21's order, more than a dozen humanoid combat weapons surrounded Chinzi inside. Chinzi carefully squeezed his head out from between his two waists. I saw dense alienation not far away or rushing towards. Looking around, the number is at least 100 or 200. These alienated people are very similar to those in the shelter, with scarlet eyes and killing intent. Master Human, hide quickly. BT-21 pushed Chinzi's head back. The outside world is too dangerous. Chinzi's face turned pale. At this moment, he finally realized his death behavior. If I met such a large group of alienated people alone, I would become their poop the next day. Now Chinzi can only hope that these humanoid combat weapons will give him some strength. Fire. Within 100 meters of this large group of alienated people, BT finally gave the order to fire. On the shoulders and arms of the humanoid combat weapons, a short and thin barrel was raised one after another. Boom boom boom. A series of azure blue lasers shot out from the barrel. The alienated people standing densely are like leeks being cut off row by lasers. A few lucky ones were not shot critically, but lost limbs. But the other unlucky ones were directly hit by the laser and exploded into a cloud of blood mist, without even a scream. Looking at the stumped limbs and broken arms all over the place, as well as the internal organs intertwined with red and white things, Chinzi couldn't help swallowing. No wonder it is called a weapon. Their fighting power is really too strong. Chinzi couldn't figure it out. With such a powerful humanoid combat weapon, why would someone choose to hide in a shelter? If Li Yunlong was given such an army, the emperor would have to recognize his ancestors and return to his ancestors. Although the alienator is very strong, it is obvious that the humanoid combat weapon is better. The battle between the two sides was simply a one-sided massacre by weapons. After a round of shelling, BT led more than a dozen partners and rushed towards the remaining alienated people, leaving 3 to stay by Chinzi's side. Humanoid combat weapons took out their own melee weapons one after another, swords, guns, swords and halberds, of all kinds. BT's weapon is a silver tachi, which slices the alienated in half with just one face-to-face. Even surrounded by many aliens, BT is still able to fight with ease. Her figure flickered back and forth around the alienated person, and every time she was surrounded, she could always teleport out of the encirclement, giving the alienated person a fatal backstab. This can't help but remind Chinzi of Fatty's teleportation ability. But Fatty's ability is almost incomparable with BT at present, one is in the sky and the other is underground. However, Fatty's abilities are growth-oriented, and Chinzi really expected him to grow to this level. Although other humanoid weapons do not have the invisible teleportation ability of BT, their melee physical skills are still powerful. Fighting the alienated is as simple as chopping melons and vegetables. In less than 10 minutes, nearly 200 aliens fell to the ground, not even a single alien broke through the blockade and rushed in front of Chinzi. There were no casualties among the humanoid combat weapons. This must at least have the strength of an intermediate warrior. Chinzi couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Grades 1 to 3 are elementary, grades 4 to 6 are intermediate, and grades 7 to 9 are advanced. The strongest warrior Chinzi has seen so far is only number 3 law enforcement as a second-level warrior. Number 3 law enforcement gave Chinzi far less oppressive feeling than the BT who was fully fired just now. Chin J estimated that BT could hit 10 number 3s with one hand. You are not hurt. After the battle, BT hurried to Chinzi and asked with concern. I am fine. BT breathed a sigh of relief after checking. There is an abandoned airport near Zhongchang, and there are spaceships in the hangar. I will take you there now. After saying that, BT held Chinzi on his shoulders, with his butt forward and his head backward. Chinzi, such a shameful gesture. I could actually go by myself. BT resolutely refused. There is a distance from the airport, we must hurry up. Then can't you carry me on your back? You can also hold me. I need to free my hands to deal with the sudden attack of alienated people. Helpless, Chinzi could only compromise. Hold on tight, my lord, we're about to set off. Chinzi hugged the Valkyrie's waist tightly. Alas! This mecha is really too cold to feel any warmth. Call! A blue arc suddenly shot out from the back of BT's calf, and then it rose from the ground and flew towards the distance at extremely high speed. Other humanoid combat weapons hurriedly followed, forming a battle formation to protect Chinzi and BT in the center. Half an hour later, Chinzi finally landed at the airport safely, his hair standing on end by the wind. Wow, as expected of a human adult, you can change the state of your hair at will. The eyes of the humanoid combat weapons were shining. Even Chinzi, who was as thick-skinned as a city wall, was embarrassed by the intensive boasting of humanoid combat weapons. They have a supreme adoration for humans that seems to be etched on their motherboards. Even if Chinzi farts now, they will take a deep breath, then give a thumbs up and say, sweet. My lord, come with me, I know where the spaceship is. BT said. The airport is overgrown with weeds, and several planes parked on the runway have become a pile of scrap metal. All the glass in the terminal building was broken, the walls were cracked, and from time to time, 1 or 2 black crows flew out of it. This kind of place is used to shoot ghost movies without any extra decorations. Why don't you carry me and fly directly to Sky Island? Chinzi followed behind BT cautiously. You can't breathe in space, BT replied. Sky Island is in space. Chinzi was dumbfounded. The Sky Island he thought existed like a flying aircraft carrier or a lighthouse, floating in the atmosphere. Have people from this world already colonized outer space? With this ability, what are you doing to defend the Earth? BT tilted his head and looked at Chinzi. Isn't your lord from Sky Island? Oops, it's revealed. Chinzi coughed a few times in embarrassment. Of course I am from Sky Island, but I have been performing secret missions in the refuge. I just got out of the shelter recently. BT's eyes were full of big question marks. What is a shelter? It was Chinzi's turn to be dumbfounded. You don't know the shelter? BT shook his head. What year were you born? I am the first generation of humanoid combat weapons, and the last of the BT series. The date of manufacture is 2051. BT replied after retrieving the logs. The shelter was closed in 2053, how could the BT in 2051 not know? Besides me, have you seen anyone else? Chinzi asked. BT shook his head. Sky Island is the headquarters of human beings. Humanoid combat weapons will not enter again after leaving the factory. The mission of weapons is to eliminate all aliens. Chinzi was thoughtful, digesting BT's information. Do you have information about Alpha reagent in your database? Chinzi then asked. BT stood upright, streams of data flashed in his pupils. The information about Alpha reagent is top secret S level, and I have no right to check it. Human adults can go to Sky Island to check it out for themselves. Chinzi sighed softly. So what exactly is the Alpha reagent? It is so strictly kept secret. On the way to the hangar, Chinzi sorted out an approximate timeline from BT. The factory date of BT was 2051, when only 21 of the first batch of humanoid combat weapons were produced. After so many years, only BT is the first batch of weapons that are still alive. According to BT, she was sent to the front line immediately after she appeared on the stage. It's just that her opponent at the time was not an alienated person, but a strange beast. At that time, there were very few alienated people, and they did not pose a threat to humans at all. A year later, all the alien beasts were cleaned up, but the alienated ones were growing exponentially. Due to the increasing number of alienated people, the living space of human beings is constantly being compressed, so the Sky Island project was proposed. Sky Island is a large space station, which was completed and put into use at the end of 2052. At the beginning of 2053, all humans on the ground moved into the Sky Island, leaving only the alienated ones on the surface. Since then, Sky Island has continued to produce humanoid combat weapons to annihilate the alienated on the surface. Subsequent weapons do not have special abilities like the first batch of BT series, but are equipped with powerful firepower and martial arts chips. Vault 10 was also put into use in early 2053, the same time as Sky Island. Chinzi was very curious about what happened at that time, which made both parties so urgent. What made Chinzi even more puzzled was that Sky Island seemed to be hiding the surface, as well as the sanctuary and human affairs. The time is now 2102, and the battle between humans and aliens has been going on for 50 years. How did the alien beast be wiped out? The first batch of 21 humanoid combat weapons, even if they all have the ability to teleport, can't change anything in front of a large number of beasts. BT, the number of alien beasts has decreased rapidly, and I don't know why. She scratched her head, a little aggrieved. They are just humanoid combat weapons, not intelligent brains, so they don't understand so much spicy food. Chinzi didn't ask any more questions, BT only knew the superficial. The hangar is coming soon. No one has been inside for a long time, and a thick layer of dust has accumulated on the ground. In the center is a flying machine covered with a gray canvas. BT stepped forward to grab a corner and yanked it off. It was a black flying wing aircraft, a bit like a B-2 bomber. The fuel is sufficient, the engine and avionics system are intact, and it is ready to take off at any time. After a careful inspection, BT confirmed that this thing can fly to the Sky Island. There is just room for 2 people in the cockpit. Chinzi is the co-pilot and BT is in charge of the driving. The aircraft drove out of the hangar and slowly slid towards the runway. What's this? Chinzi pointed to a screen that was densely covered with red dots. BT was shocked. It's an alienated person. She quickly issued an order in the communication channel. Aliens are coming. The number is about 300. You must protect me and the human adults to take off. Received. Times 17. A large mass of feces yellow aliens poured in from a distance, looking from a distance like a cesspit bursting its bank. The humanoid combat weapons opened fire one after another, and the ferocious firepower made the pace of the alienated people stagnate for a while. The expression on BT's face was very relaxed. Don't worry, human beings. There are no aliens who can fly. As long as we go to the sky, we will be safe. Boom. The engine of the aircraft started, and a faint blue flame was emitted from the tail. After sliding for more than 100 meters on the runway, it soared into the sky and sailed into the gray sky. Seeing that Chinzi had taken off smoothly, the humanoid combat weapons guarding the airport did not continue to fight, but took off to escort one after another. After all, the safety of human adults is the most important thing. How long will it take to reach Sky Island? Chinzi asked. 2 hours is enough, BT replied. Chinzi's right eyelid kept twitching, and he always felt that this trip would not be so smooth. BT, there are a large number of flying aliens on the right side, pay attention to correct the course. The weapons sent a warning. Chinzi swallowed. Danger, danger, danger. He kind of wants to go home. The flying alienator is like a magnified version of a poopy yellow bat. The arms and legs are connected together by the cattail, and the rapid flapping can maintain the flying posture. The humanoid combat weapons fired collectively, and the alienated person who was hit immediately turned into a big ball of fire and fell to the ground. Fortunately, these aliens do not have long-range attack methods, otherwise such a large aircraft would immediately become the target of fire. Seeing that the human adult's face was a little pale, BT comforted softly, these are all the lowest level aliens, and they are not enough to pose a threat. As long as no high-level alienated person appears, we are absolutely safe. Chinzi, elder sister, can you stop setting the flag first? Attention, a high-level alienated person appears 500 meters ahead. The escort humanoid weapons shouted. Chinzi twitched the corner of his mouth. BT's flag came true. Call. As soon as the words fell, a blast of flames hit the aircraft straight. BT yanks the joystick and sideways the vehicle. The flames flew past the bottom of the aircraft, leaving a black burnt mark. BT, let's hold it. Take the human adults and go. The escort formation was divided into two. Part of them continued to defend against the flying aliens attacking from the side. The other part rushed towards the high-level alienated person. BT took advantage of the gap and quickly passed through. Chinzi saw through the screen in the cabin that a humanoid combat weapon was chopped off in half by the sharp claws of a high-level alienator in just one encounter. The body of a high-level alienator is nearly 5 meters high, its wings grow from its back, and its hands are given greater freedom when fighting. Faced with the death of his companion, BT had no waves on his face. Death is the final destination of every weapon, and it is our honor to die for a human adult. Chinzi has mixed feelings in his heart. He opened his mouth, and what he wanted to say finally turned into a sigh. My lord, get ready, we are about to pass through the atmosphere. The aircraft pitched its nose up and began to accelerate. Boom. At this moment, the tail of the aircraft exploded suddenly, and both engines shut down at the same time. The aircraft that lost power began to plummet towards the ground. At the same time, a huge shadow swooped down from above and hung on the aircraft. Another high-level alienator. He had been hiding above the clouds in the deep space just now, not to mention Wood launched a deadly sneak attack. The face of the senior alienated person was tightly attached to the transparent cockpit cover. He is laughing. The feces' yellow facial features are twisted together, like a chrysanthemum that hasn't been wiped clean. Master Human, hold on to me. BT unbuckled his seat belt, and hugged Chinzi tightly in his arms like a child. The automatic escape device of the aircraft is activated. The cockpit cover was ejected upwards, and the huge impact force sent the unsuspecting high-level aliens flying. BT activated the leg jets and took Chinzi out of the aircraft. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.